Hello, minions. Hello. Hello, everybody. Hi. What's this about the first flushable toilet? Is that going to be shown at this great exhibition, this World's Fair? Is that what we're going to see here? I guess that makes sense. It is about that time of technology, isn't it? The first flushable toilet. Did the soap eater get got? He did, yes. I was actually, wrong about a couple things in that case. I thought it would all turn out to be like an accident, and he got poisoned from huffing gas fumes, because he put his mouth on the pipe. Did sham spear? I thought that would be like, oh, it was all just a weird accident because he didn't know the gas would do that to him, or he accidentally inhaled it or something. And it turned out that he was trying to murder people by blowing in the gas and blowing out their stoves. That would cause, with those old gas stoves, if you put out the flame on the stove, it's still putting out gas, which means if you fall asleep when that happens, you just get carbon monoxide poisoning and suffocate and die, which is what happened to the previous tenant and what he was trying to do to Soseki. Soseki Natsume. And I thought he had maybe gotten poisoned by accidentally huffing some of those fumes, but it turned out he was poisoned by olive green, and I'm like, you know what, to be fair, he deserved it. He probably deserved it a little bit. He was I think if you're going to murder a couple people to get the lost stash of another criminal, that's totally valid and a decent plan. You just got to get away with it. Like, if some random person is finding out about it and then enacting revenge on you, you've already screwed up. Your plan has failed. Just don't get caught, forehead. Yeah, I'm honestly surprised Soseki managed to last that long. It's very impressive. No, not stash as in S-T-A-C-H-E. I know that's what Soseki-san has. He did not want Soseki's mustache. He wanted the stash of very valuable loot hidden in Soseki's room. It's funny that you said that, though. Like a mustache. I don't think you can steal someone's mustache. Mustache. It's funny that you read it that way, though. Yeah, it's on it. I don't know how Soseki survived for so long. Literally suffocating every night. No, Soseki wasn't. Soseki was visiting London for that long, but he didn't live in that place for that long. He said he was only living in that one specific place for like a couple weeks. Yeah, Soseki's traumatized from living in Britain, and that's valid. That's fair. Who would want to live there? Britain is an awful, ugly place. But yeah, he wanted that stuff that was hidden in his room, and I think that's valid. I think you should kill people if you want to get treasure. But he shouldn't have gotten caught. It's that simple. I wouldn't have gotten caught. I would have come up with a better plan. I just would have done it right. I'm built different. And I also don't have this terrible fashion sense. Yeah, I'm interested in finding out That's all, folks. I'm interested in finding out about the Great Exhibition. The Great Exhibition. It's very, it's just the World's Fair, isn't it? It wasn't called the Great Exhibition in real life. It's just the World's Fair, isn't it? Well, that's my point, KB in the world. If he didn't get counter-poisoned, if he wasn't so bad at his plan that a random lady could find out about it, then he wouldn't have gotten caught, and I wouldn't have let that happen. Couldn't be me. The first World's Fair? What's this about exhibitionism? Hey now. I keep that behavior mostly on Twitter, all right? This is the exhibition. Ism. You don't have to put the ism on it. Let's see what's going on at this great exhibition. The Return of the Great Departed Soul. That's the name of this case. Very intriguing, very spooky.
The grand end of the century great exhibition of London. Surely there is not a soul who has failed to hear of it.
That's true. You've been telling us about it for like 2 games straight.
Wondrous new works of culture and industry from every corner of the globe had converged on Hyde Park, welcoming over 50 million visitors.
50 million?
The last great hurrah of this century. Astonished and delighted people of all nations, and ended on a note of resounding success.
Both Charles Darwin and Karl Marx attended this exhibition, the Real World's Fair. That's neat. Maybe we'll find funny pastiches of them here.
You are aware my friend Mr. Herlock Sholmes had a hand in unraveling the matter. For from the shadows, it was he who earnestly unearthed the facts of the case.
Yes, I'm sure it was all him. It was all Sholmes.
And like the centerpiece of the great exhibition, which rose high into the skies of Hyde Park, Sholmes's brilliant deductions, as clear and lofty as the Crystal Tower itself, brought the truth to light.
Ah, yes. As we all know, the Great Exhibition, the first event to feature Catboys.
We're here at the showground of the Great Exhibition, which is absolutely
Oh, this is new. This is a new thing. This Radio Man.
The weather is unusually fine, and we're about to witness a most extraordinary scientific experiment.
Ooh. Okay, now we're back to regular graphics.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 20th century will see steam engines and electrical power dominate the world.
This guy looks goofy as hell.
Will give way to the motor car. Ships will sprout wings and take to the skies. And today, we showcase even more advanced technology. A glimpse into the future.
The real exhibition was in 1851. Yeah, I didn't think there was an exhibition of this type at like 1900. Oh well.
A demonstration of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
That is a lot of words you just said. That's just a fucking laser gun, my guy.
Literally be disassembled by a pulse of high voltage electricity and beamed to another location.
Oh, never mind. It's a teleporter.
Whereupon his body will be reassembled.
Reassembled.
Complex calculations exactly as it was before.
I'm sure this will go very well. This man will not just be electrocuted to death, I'm sure. Look at that goofy ass run.
But a few moments from now,
fucking Professor Doofenshmirtz ass run.
this gentleman will, in the blink of an eye, complete an incredible journey through the air. To arrive an instant later on the Crystal Tower behind you!
I'm sure this will work perfectly. This man won't just disintegrate. Well, I don't think he's happy anymore. Meanwhile, 22nd October, 9:36 a.m., Sholmes' suite. Runo, are you listening? Oh, sorry, what was that, Iris? Humph, what's the matter with you? You've been miles away all morning. Didn't you like what I cooked for breakfast? No, that's not it at all. What were you talking about again? Today's paper. It's full of news about the Great Exhibition again. Yes, the Great Exhibition. I'd like to go sometime. You're really not your usual self today. You seem very down. Don't you agree, Hurley? Oh no, he's also sad. This is the same way he looked in the first game when he said he would kill himself. Did you say something, Iris? Oh gosh, you're even more down. Well, when did you arrive, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, now he's back up. He's his usual self. I've been here for about half an hour already. We had breakfast together? What? Why didn't you mention it before? I thought you might have known I was here. You know, because breakfast? Iris is quite right. You're clearly lacking in vim. So much so that I didn't notice your presence. Thanks. Of course, I could deduce the reason perfectly well with some simple observations. What? Let's see. Yes, for example, your tousled hair this morning with all its unruly spikes. Clearly it can be deduced therefore that... let me stop you there, Mr. Sholmes, because I think I can see where this is going. My hair always looks like this. It always has. Ever since we first met, in fact. Oh, really? How interesting. Just doesn't look like a haircut as such, I suppose. Thanks again. Poor Ryunosuke. He has to put up with the fucking clown troupe all day. Every day. It crossed my mind recently that it's been 6 months now. 6 months? Since I was forbidden from working in court. Oh yes, that's right, we're back in the present now. We are back in the present. The last case took place immediately after the second case of the first game. Now we're back in the present after, after Susato returned to Japan. So Ryunosuke has been living with Sholmes and Iris by himself, and because of the events of the last case of the first game, he has been forbidden from participating in British court. That is correct, he is in gay baby jail. So I've been wondering how much longer I'm going to be banned. Oh, well, that would explain why you seem rather glum. Don't you agree, Hurley? What? Why is he sad again? What is your fucking problem? Did you say something, Iris? Ah, back to moping. Why is he upset? What's your problem? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes today? He seems even more down in the dumps than me. I know, and the great exhibition has opened. You'd think he'd be excited. Oh, why don't we all go see it together? I want to, of course I do, but I can't. No, for the time being. Why not? Why not? Why not? Because I am a great detective, after all. So you're embroiled in some tricky case that you can't be distracted from? Is that it? Yeah, I would not be surprised if some funny pastiches of real-world historical figures appear here. We already had the Russian guy in the first game, who's not really exactly a pastiche of a real person, so much as he is a pastiche of a very real political events going on, because he was a Soviet. I don't remember hearing what you're working on a case, Harley. I said Harley, he's Hurley. I slurred it a little too much. Wasn't that man literally just Lenin? No, I don't think he was meant to be a pastiche of Lenin. Well, I guess he did get, like, exiled from his home country like Lenin did. I suppose I should try to find out what's going on. Alright, let's... Hey, check this out, Sholmes. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, about this. Shush! Not another word! Ah, yes, I see. This would be a collar for a breed of miniature canine with a particularly long neck and for winter use. Actually, it's the armband I always wear that symbolizes my role as a defense lawyer. Precisely, which leads us to but one conclusion. Your arm is in fact the particularly long neck of a miniature canine. Starting to wish I'd never shown him this now. The man's barking mad. It's literally just an insane thing to say. Alright, tell us about the events of 6 months ago. Half a year ago now, I took on the defense of a young girl in a trial heard at the Old Bailey. What at first seemed like a simple case of murder that took place at a London pawnbrokery turned out to be one part of a much more far-reaching plot that involved the British government. During the course of the trial, it was found that I made an unavoidable yet at the same time unforgivable mistake. Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Of course, my lord. It's true, Sholmes does get cranky when he doesn't have his opium hit. That might be his problem. In the end, I had my right to represent people in court revoked. I was told I had to spend my time in research and study, so that's what I've been doing. You haven't you, Runo? Blah, 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 blah. Reading all those big, fat tomes about British law up in your room, and the notes about Sholmes' old cases. Brewing Iris's special blends of tea, fetching my daily bread for me. You've become something of a manservant around here. Don't call him a manservant, please. You're gonna give people ideas. Please do not put the idea of Ryunosuke as Sholmes' manservant in people's heads. It's gonna create so much art. Yeah, also, reading, if the notes are written by Sholmes instead of Iris, it must be, the most impossible to parse shit ever. Start on the silverware next, Master Naruhodo. Well, I'm thinking of going to ask the powers that be to reconsider. I do remember the Sholmes maid arc, yes. He never actually put on the dress, which is a big disappointment. Specifically Lord Strongheart at the British Supreme Court on Whitehall. Lord Strongheart? The delightful Lord Chief Justice. Not my favorite fellow. That's true, he is Asogi's manservant, not Sholmes's. Unfortunately, Asogi has passed away, so there's not much he can do about it. He's not mine either, but he's the man I have to talk to. He's the only one who can grant permission for me to start working in the courts again. I came to Britain to become the best lawyer I could, and I can't do that just sitting around here. Let's talk about the Great Exhibition. What are your thoughts on this, Sholmes? The whole of London has been swept up in this Great Exhibition, hasn't it? The most advanced science, the most modern technology, the finest works of art and feats of engineering. For the next 6 months, our capital will be showcasing these things, and the world will be watching. Oh, do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to look down on London from one of those lovely balloons. Look down on? Do you mean those things? Fly? Yes, of course. They fly high in the sky and don't even need wings to do it. All you need is hot air. But how? How does hot air have anything to do with flying? It makes no sense. I can't understand it at all. That's true of a lot of new scientific discoveries. Most people can't understand them at first. But in 100 years' time, all these things will just be common knowledge. I suppose they might be. Mind you, some of the science being demonstrated here seems very questionable. Something went wrong on the open experimentation stage, apparently. There was a huge explosion. Yeah, teleportation is definitely a very, unquestioned science. Still, I wish I'd seen it, though. I'd love to see how bad some of these scam experiments really are. Says the innocent 10-year-old girl. I don't know, she's makes all these weird inventions for Sholmes that work. See here, every page of this paper carries some article or other about the Great Exhibition. But the brighter things shine, the darker the shadows that are cast behind them. Oh, I also love Kingdom Hearts, Sholmes. Personally, I find myself drawn to the darkness, to the impenetrable. That is my proper atmosphere. Okay, thank you for the newsy paper. Shadows cast behind. Is that a metaphorical way of referring to the back page of the paper? Tell us, why are you so sad? Why are you so sad? Are you investigating a particularly tricky case at the moment, Mr. Sholmes? You could say that, I suppose. Nothing more to add? That's not like you. What sort of case is it? Shush! Quiet, Miss Naruhodo. We must not discuss it here. You never know who might be listening. Who would be listening? You're acting very strangely, Hurley. What do you mean, Iris? Well, usually... I try to do the little... if I try too hard to do the little girl voice, my voice just cracks. It's really unfortunate. The more mysterious and complicated a case is, the better Hurley's mood. Is it really a case that's bothering you? Iris, please! You mustn't exercise your astute powers of observation and deduction on me without invitation. Remember what I always say, put yourself in the shoes of the individual about whom you're making deductions. You say that, do you? You, Mr. Sholmes. Never mind, once I've had a cup of tea, I must make my way at once to the crime scene. Is he just sad he has to investigate a crime instead of going to the Great Exhibition? I think that's it. I think he's just like, oh, I wanted to go to the park. That was a deep sigh. Well, what do you think of the paper? Oh, he doesn't have anything to say about it. His important blinks. He's done blinking. I guess there must be something important to examine in here. I can type with my eyes shut, you know. I can believe it. When a deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun. That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was such a funny one. It woke me, actually. I was typing for a whole hour in the pitch black, but I didn't make a single mistake. That's incredible. But then, when it got light, I found that there wasn't any paper in the machine. Now I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all. I think you might have just fallen asleep on the job. Bum, bum. There are so many different bottles up there on that charming little set of white shelves. Oh, do be careful, Runo. You mustn't try the contents of any of those bottles, even if you're hungry. I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know. Well, I wish I could say the same for Hurley. The other day, he polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids. He what? He said he was hungry. I'll be extra careful. Yeah, he would do that. You gotta, like, child-proof all the bottles, or Sholmes will just start eating and drinking random things. Ah, yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? What's in the melting pot today? The blue carbuncle? That's from Final Fantasy. Yes, it's from a case of theft that Hurley solved ages ago. The theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle is another name for a garnet, you see, especially if it's cut with a round top. Oh, really? And this garnet was blue, was it? Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. No blue garnets have ever been discovered. Oh. So who knows what the stolen gemstone actually was? That's the real mystery of the case. A proper Harlock Sholmes conundrum, huh? Tea. Everybody needs tea. I look forward to finding out what aroma your tea will have, Iris, every single day. Ah, well, I infuse a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's never the same twice. When you call it a concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment than something for tea time. Oh yes, that's because different blends can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy. Today's particular blend is something quite special, so you're really in for a treat. Eventually she will find sleepy time. It's true. Everybody loves some sleepy time tea. That sounds ominous. Bum, 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 bum. Look at all this random shit. All these different pieces of evidence from cases that Mr. Sholmes has solved are very interesting. The trouble is, Hurley forgets things so quickly. He never remembers why these things are relevant. The other day, for example, he saw the orange pips that were there and decided to plant them in the garden. Pips? Yes, they've all sprouted now. We have 5 new little plants. Oh, well, I don't know what case they were from, but if Mr. Sholmes can get oranges to grow outside in England, he should change his profession. I actually remember reading that one, the one with the pips. I remember that story. I've read all the Sherlock Holmes stories. The character based off of Sherlock Holmes. And yeah, I remember the one with the orange pips. I think that her saying Sholmes is good at growing plants is also a reference to when the character retired, he was like a beekeeper and stuff, and like grew gardens. Ah yes, the huge metal chest with the lace cloth laid on it, being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure, and firmly locked shut. That chest contains my father's detailed records of Hurley's many cases. Yes, so I've been led to believe, though personally I've never actually seen inside. And that's the way it will stay. Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. If you go opening it uninvited, you might find yourself being bitten. By her? What, is there a beast inside there or something? I do love a good fire in the colder months. Watching the flames flickering and dancing about is just so very relaxing. Cleaning out the chimney isn't so relaxing, though. No, getting covered in soot isn't my idea of fun. You know, Hurley decided he was going to clean it out himself last year. But you can guess what happened, can't you? He got himself stuck inside the flue. He's a very slim man, I admit, but there are limits to where a fully grown man can fit. Now every time he dozes off by the fire, he has nightmares about it. What a fucking freak. Books, papers, scientific implements, those shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. Mrs. Otto wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She can't stand mess. Susie might not be able to stand mess, but she wouldn't dare touch those shelves. Oh, why not? Everything's in intricate balance. Hurley spends ages on it. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot would come tumbling down. Susie noticed it was a very delicate arrangement right from the outset. You make it sound like a meeting of great minds. The truth is, Mr. Sholmes just needs to tidy up. Oh, there's his violin. Ah yes, Mr. Sholmes' faithful musical companion. Wasn't this violin made by somebody famous? Yes, it's a Stradivarius. A Stradivarius. That's right, that's a very fancy violin. Very expensive. I'm afraid you'd have to save up for 100 years before you could afford one, Runo. If I were to save up for 100 years, I wouldn't choose to buy a violin, personally. Oh, what would you buy then? I really have no idea. I think I'll have to do it so I can find out. It's true, he did get shot over that violin. It was funny. Every time I look at that machine, I can't help thinking what a monstrosity it is. What's it called again? The Great Analytoscope. It can analyze absolutely anything, you know. It does seem incredible, and at the same time, incredibly useless. Ah, but it looks impressive, doesn't it? So that makes it very useful. How does that make it useful? Because it means you can pawn it for lots of money. The pawnbrokers always make idle remarks like, "What an incredible looking machine." So Hurley often takes it to the pawn shop when he's a little short. Sounds like things pulls its weight around here more than I realized, by having its weight pulled around. That's right, I remember. He did that in the first game. He pawned it when he needed some money. And then eventually he paid the loan back. What am I missing here? Have I examined the newspaper? Oh yeah, I guess I should do that. There we go. Every article on the front page is news about the Great Exhibition. That's right, he told me to examine the back. That's right. Public experiments that demonstrate brand new scientific ideas, cultural exhibits from around the globe. It's also positive and hopeful about the coming century. I sure hope nothing bad happens in this century. We must all go see it probably before long. I sure hope there aren't 1 to 2 big bad things in the 20th century. The Reaper attacked. So many glowing reports about the Great Exhibition and everything that's going on here. Also, there is a lost cat. No, that's the bad thing. That's the real bad part. Other than this rather gloomy looking one, that is. Wait, what? What's the matter, Runel? The Reaper attacked. That's Lord Von Zeeks. This must be what Mr. Sholmes was talking about. Does he know any more, I wonder? What's going on with Van Zeeks? Is it Wagahai? Let me double check. Oh, sorry, I accidentally pressed present. I can't tell if it's Wagahai. Wagahai had the little bow tie. I don't know if it's him. I would assume Soseki took the cat back with him to Japan, but I can't tell. By the way, I wanted to say, Goldane followed like 5 minutes before the stream started. So thank you, Goldane. If you're still around, I appreciate you joining the Rose Rabbit Army. Alright, let's talk about the Reaper that attacked. Oh, that's right, Wagahai did get left with us. That's right. It says in the paper that the Lord Van Zeeks was attacked. That's terrible. No. Rianosuke, I don't think it's saying the Reaper attacked. It's the Reaper attacked. There's no comma there, my friend. That's right. That's right. They don't allow animals on the steamships. That was a key part of that case in the first game. That's right. So Wagahai was left with us. I hope we didn't lose Wagahai. He had such an adorable little bow tie. You know the legend of the Reaper of the Bailey, of course, don't you? Only too well, in fact. Yes, Prosecutor Barrick Van Zykes. Listen, there's his theme song. It's very intimidating. They say that if the Reaper is the prosecutor in a case, there's no salvation for whoever's in the dock. Even if the defendant is found not guilty. Once the Reaper has someone in his sights, one way or another, that person's time left on this earth will be short. London's finest rogues always find ways around the law. They'll stop at nothing to secure an acquittal at trial. falsifying evidence, paying sham witnesses, threatening jurors, bribing judges. But even such devious tactics as these cannot save them from the hand of the Reaper. As you've experienced yourself, haven't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I've seen the Reapers at Retribution at work. Oh, that's right, Wagahai is a girl, isn't she? I forgot. I forgot. Many of these criminal rogues are reckless and quite unafraid to die. If a leader among the fraternity is seen having been taken by the Reaper, retaliation like this does occur. Really, the capital is a never-ending Shootin' Dragoon. Thank you for the host, my friend. My very loyal minion friend. Welcome to Shootin' Dragoon's party of 4, which have now been turned over to me. You're all conscripted into the Rose Rabbit army. Oh, ho, 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 ho. We're playing the Great Ace Attorney 2. We're on the 3rd case. It's very exciting. Really, the capital has a never-ending supply of such scoundrels. So, do you mean Lord Von Zeeks has been attacked like this before? This isn't the first time. He's quite an accomplished combatant, you know. He doesn't take these attacks lying down. Although, it seems that his assailants were armed with guns this time. Oh my goodness. Is he alright then? Is Lord Von Zeeks hurt? I love... Ryunosuke is so concerned for this guy who's been racist towards him at every turn. My dear fellow, how on earth would I know? Well, in the article here it says, as to what of Lord Von Zeeks and his condition, all will be revealed in tomorrow's morning edition. That's weird. Ah, I see. Well, we shall have to be patient then. No, I can't wait until tomorrow. In that case, you shall have to inquire with somebody in the know. But who? Lord Strongheart, perhaps. Why is Ryunosuke so concerned about Von Zeeks? He's such an asshole towards him. I guess he's such a good, pure boy, our Ryunosuke. He can't help but feel concerned. Well, I must be leaving now. Yes, understood. See you later, Mr. Sholmes. Ha! You really are a shameless liar sometimes, my dear fellow. What? You seek to put me off my guard and follow me, don't you? Well, you would be wasting your time. The thought hadn't crossed my mind. Now I'm wondering where you're going. Ah ha 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 ha! Well then, see you later indeed. Goodbye. Goodbye, you freaky twink you. Listen to him. He's still laughing on his way out the door. Ah! Iris, your fit is downright horrible. What's going on here? Alright then, Runo, let's get going. Oh, Iris, what are you wearing? Please, that hat is so ugly. I'm sorry, girl. I've got change to go to the grand exhibition. You're going to take me. What? But I was just about to go to the Supreme Court. Oh, well that sounds fun too. You're going to take me there then. I don't know, Sholmes doesn't seem buff at all to me. Alright, fine. Just lower that weapon, would you? Of course, and after the Supreme Court, then we'll go see the great exhibition. Alright, fine, whatever. This outfit you're wearing, Iris, is fucking awful. What is your problem? The 22nd of October, British support Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Ah, that's right, this is the Clockman. It's been about 6 months now since I was last here. But some things never changed, like the sense of foreboding I always seem to feel in this place. What are you doing? It doesn't seem to be bothering Iris at all, though. She's happily reading over there. Why on the floor? That's so dirty. Oh, I love this place. I always find so many interesting books here. Of course. I was forgetting that you've been here before. The time we came here 6 months ago. when Susato-san was given the news that she was to return to Japan. Is it just me, or does this Chief Justice guy... He's always had, like, Damon Gant energy to me. I don't think he's a good guy. Strongheart's original name is Heart Vortex? Why didn't they keep that one? Ah, I understand you wish to speak with me. Oh, Lord Strongheart. I trust you've been keeping well? Let's see. Since you arrived and requested an audience, it's been 4 hours, 32 minutes, and 26 seconds. I've kept you waiting a while. My apologies. Oh no, not at all. I like nothing more than standing around staring into space. Good to know. Good to know that doesn't appear to bother him at all. Male Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of London. I guess Male Strongheart kind of sounds like Maelstrom, which is kind of like a vortex, so it's kind of like his original name. He's the man who allowed me to start practicing as a defense lawyer when I arrived in Britain as a student. You need only savor the air for a moment in this grand office to understand his preeminent status. As you will be aware, the Great Exhibition of London is now underway at last. Yeah, he literally just had us standing here for 4 hours. We're extremely busy as a result, policing the grounds regarding the new technologies, dealing with petty crime. And furthermore, as of next month, we shall open the International Forensic Science Symposium. Oh, I've not heard about that. Investigating authorities from 40 countries around the globe will be taking part, including from your own land. Forensic science is the future. The world must embrace it. I wonder who you got from Japan. Probably people we know. You don't just say something without it having some story significance. As we are the hosting nation, I have much to do, and it is my highest priority. Others must wait for my attention. As a result, so be it. Well, it's nice to know where I stand. Whoop, whoop. I love the spin he does with his cane. Very fancy. So, you wish to consult with me? Of course, I can very well imagine what this is about. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, my lord. I want to be allowed to start working as a defense lawyer again in court. That's what brought me here today. But actually, there's something else playing on my mind as it happens. Bruno, just take a deep breath and come out with it. Have you taken a look at this? By the way, Lord Strongheart, about this. The symbol of a defense lawyer in the Japanese judiciary. Oh, I didn't expect you to know that. We never accept foreign students before first researching the legal systems of their home countries. Is the sound desynced? There shouldn't be any sound desyncing. Not on my end anyways. Try refreshing the Twitch page. But such strong trinkets are merely for show. The only true measure of your worth is your performance in court. Yes, right. Alright. Tell me, I want to be a lawyerman again. Please let me be a lawyer, sir. I actually came here today to ask for your permission. Go on. 6 months ago, my right to work in a court as lawyer was revoked, and I was told to spend my time studying. Obviously, I'm very sorry for what happened, but the thing is, it made me understand what it really means to defend somebody under the rules of a foreign justice system, and I desperately want to have another go. Please, permit me to enter the courtroom again. Please let me out of gay baby jail, sir. I promise to at least not be a baby anymore. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. Here it comes. I'm sure you haven't forgotten your position here, have you? At best, you are a substitute for your compatriot. This was never your intended role. Well, that's true. The Japanese government actually sent my best friend on this study tour, not me. It should have been Kazuma. He was so determined to bring change to our own justice system at home. That was his calling. It's time for me to remember about my boyfriend, who died tragically. If that tragic accident hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here in this office now. Mr. Asogi would... Oh, sorry. No, he's not this guy's best friend. He's Ryunosuke's. Mr. Asogi was my best friend, you see. That's why I can't leave it unfinished. I have to fulfill his calling for him. His calling, you say? Has it ever occurred to you that perhaps you know nothing of his true calling? Sorry? The mission with which that young law student was charged. What do you suppose it really was? What do you mean? Mission? He's not making any sense. In the last game, at the very end, Asogi's name was on that list of law and investigative people. Like, Wilson was on that list too, Iris's father and Sholmes' partner. The intrigue. The intrigue. Never mind. I've read all the reports you've submitted over the past 6 months. It's clear to me that you regret your actions and have been studiously obeying your advised instructions. Do you mean... As of this moment, I reinstate your license to practice law here in Great Britain. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's wonderful news, Runo. In fact, I believe I have the perfect case to mark your comeback. A curious affair. You'll consider it, I hope. Yorokabe, Shorin. Does he have Joji no Kata vibes? Kind of, I think. I think that this would be a character that would be voiced by Joji. I can see it. Of course. Please, tell me more. You got more Wakamoto vibes? They're pretty similar, I think. First, tell me about the Forensic Science Symposium. All sorts of conferences have been taking place around the world to coincide with the Great Exhibition. And next month, the largest and most important of them at all will take place at last. The International Forensic Science Symposium. It does seem as though criminal investigation needs to embrace scientific methods, doesn't it? Exactly. London, the global epicenter of culture, science, and wealth, now has a population exceeding 6 million. Sadly, crime in the capital is growing at a similarly startling rate. So it's imperative that we use the latest scientific methods to investigate and resolve cases as efficiently as possible. Which is what's known as forensic science, isn't it? Exactly. The future of policing. Regrettably, however, Britain is currently dragging its feet when it comes to the adoption of forensic methods. Oh dear, that's alarming. Exactly. It's extremely alarming. He's very large, and he's very shouty. If I were Her Majesty's Attorney General, you can be sure the numbers of crimes committed and resolved in London would be very different to the current figures. And I can cite 12 solid arguments and 223 individual reasons to support my claim. Sorry? By way of apology for keeping you waiting earlier, I shall detail everyone now. What? Oh, how fascinating. It all began 15 years ago. And then it trails off for hours and hours and hours. There he goes. He listed them all 12 arguments and 253 reasons. And the more or less sums up my feelings on the matter, in the simplest terms, of course. Essentially, to formally establish a forensic investigation division within Scotland Yard. That is my mission. Oh, right, yes, that's wonderful. Exactly. Wonderful is precisely what it will be. Iris isn't paying attention at all. She's got her nose in another book now. She got bored. I also got bored. Oh, is it over? Did you learn anything useful? I actually drifted off for the most part. He's surprisingly ardent about forensic science. Okay, tell me about your curious affair. Oh, what if we're defending Van Zeeks or something? What a twist that would be. You described it as a curious affair? Yes, that's right. I believe it was reported in the press. Are you aware that there was a serious accident at the Great Exhibition yesterday? Oh, no. Yes, I read about it. A professor from Germany tried to carry out a crazy experiment. Let me see. How was it described? Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, I think. Instantaneous kinesis? As in moving things with a click of the finger? That's right. It's just what my herbal blend needs, a dash of devil-may-care. Oh, I love that game. It's my favorite. That's my favorite. That's my favorite game series. Also by Capcom. Whatever this serious accident was exactly, it's clearly captured Iris's imagination. It's an unfortunate business. A large explosion engulfed the public experimentation stage and a man lost his life. Asserted Mr. O.D. Asman, an investor and a well-known figure in society. A large explosion? A man died? The man responsible for the experiment was Professor Albert Harebrain. Oh, Harebrain. Sorry. I get it. It's like his schemes are harebrained. He was detained immediately after the incident and is due to appear in court tomorrow. On the charge of murder. Yeah, an O.D. Asman, odious man. Yeah. What? Murder? If you intend to take on his defense, you should hurry to meet with him at the prison. It's always like, why can't you give me a case that I don't have to solve in a single day? There is very little time for you to carry out any kind of investigation. The Great Exhibition. Scientific experiment gone wrong? And murder? I feel out of my depth before I've even started. Still. We should go to the prison straight away then and try to meet with this German professor. Don't you think? Definitely. Ah yes, one more thing about the case. There's a connection with our mutual acquaintance, the Reaper. Oh, with Lord Von Zeeks? How? Oh, that's it. He's not gonna tell us. We'll just find out, I guess. I guess we'll talk to him. You don't get to know the connection. You'll just find out. It'll be a funny surprise. You thought I was gonna hit with a Rapukin if I say much longer? He does have a little bit of geese energy, doesn't he? British Geese Howard. 22nd of October, local prison, cell 11. The warden said cell 11. That's this one. Oh, there is someone curled up in a ball in the back corner. Look. What's his name again? Professor Albert Harebrain, wasn't it? Excuse me, Professor Harebrain. Should I? No, he didn't have one in the cutscene. I was gonna do a funny German accent, but he didn't have one in the cutscene. Who are you? He didn't have one in the cutscene, sorry. A lawyer! Ah, was it something I said? A lawyer, you say? What would you be here about the experiment? Are you going to defend my hypothesis? Your hypothesis? Sorry, I don't... Yesterday's demonstration! That magnificent demonstration was... It was an out. Alright, fine, I'll try German. It was an out and out success, by anyone's calculations. But despite that, no one listens, no lawyer believes in the science. When it's explained, they all leave at high velocity. I hate this guy's hair. Huh. Now is probably not a good time to mention that your zeal made my concentration leave for a while, too. Alright, hey. You should check this out. Ah, fascinating, yes. In Japan, where I come from, it's a symbol of a defense lawyer. Wearing it is very bracing, I find. Your words make some sense to me, but they are entirely illogical. What do you mean? Well, for example, I find this white laboratory coat that I wear for my work very bracing too. However, in my case, there is a perfectly logical reason for that feeling. Oh, really? What is it? I purchased the wrong size by mistake. This one is too small for me. The sleeves, especially, are extremely bracing. I can barely move my wrists. That's what you call logical, is it? Of course, it's entirely logical. That's science, Mr. Naruhodo. It's all about the science. Check the facts. Tell us about yesterday. You mentioned the demonstration yesterday? The papers have called it a spectacular failure. After all, a man died in the explosion, didn't he? Arg. Yes, you could interpret the results that way if you really wanted to. Well, I suppose in the strictest sense, the experiment was a failure, but at the same time, it was a great success. You've lost me. I saw it with my own eyes, right there in front of me. Mr. Asman was spontaneously disassembled. Until then, everything was going exactly as my calculations had predicted. At that point, he should have been beamed to the crystal by instantaneous kinesis. Well, you got the disassembled part right, but you forgot the reassembling part, which I feel like is more important. However, the machine exploded, and Mr. Asman, in fact, perished. Oh wait, that was Ryunosuke saying. I do this sometime. The machine exploded, and Mr. Asman, in fact, perished. Yes. I can't deny that part of the experiment was a failure. So what you're really saying is the large explosion that killed Mr. Asman was an accident, correct? But the bigwigs had you arrested on suspicion of murder. I was responsible for a man's death. That is the immutable truth here. And for that, I wish to be punished at once. But... Murder? Never in a million years. It was an accident. Simply an accident. I see. Hurley and I were talking this morning, you know. He said the situation would change completely depending on whether it was treated as an accident or murder. How exactly? Yeah, why are they calling it a murder? It was very obviously an accident. Well, if it really was an accident, then the professor's machine would be kept in protective custody. On what grounds? Ah, yes. It's newly established here in Britain as the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. That one passed me by. But if the case is treated as murder, then they'll say my machine was the murder weapon. And they'll be able to pull over it as much as they like. If they examine it in detail, they'll find out how it's made, and then they'll be able to copy my idea. My precious hypothesis will be stolen. The machine must be protected from that at all costs. That's why it's imperative this whole incident is shown to have been an accident in tomorrow's trial. Ah, I see now. Is this gonna be like that evidence law bullshit with Gant? It very well could be. Tell us about instantaneous kinesis. That would definitely be annoying. I remember anytime like in Ace Attorney when they're like, you are technically right. However, because of this one law, you're actually wrong. It's really annoying, and you have to like fight it 50 times. Like like in investigations when they bring up extraterritorial rights like 50 times. And you have to like find out a way around it. Are the British just going to steal his plans for a teleporter that kills people? Maybe. Maybe that's the intent here, is they want his, well, it's not so much a teleporter as it is a disintegration machine, isn't it? So, in short, there was a terrible accident at the Great Exhibition showground yesterday. Yeah, this. Or rather, no. The devil is in the details. Strictly speaking, there was a terrible explosion. Sounds the same to me. You were demonstrating super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, weren't you? How fascinating. Humans, like all matter, are made up of particles that are held together by electrical bonds. So it must be possible, using a sufficiently high voltage, to break those bonds and beam the particles through space. That's it in a nutshell. That's my idea, you'll see. That's my amazing hypothesis. Gosh, that's unimaginably high-level science. Oh, but dare to imagine it. Dare to dream of such incredible technology. Just think, one moment I could be here in this cell, and the next, I could be at the Great Exhibition again. Well, yes, that would be incredible. And the next, in the mere blink of an eye, I could be at the Great Parisian Theatre, eh? The possibilities are endless. The whole of our vast planet would be within reach. So no more hiding in wardrobes on rocky seas for 50 days? That would be an improvement. I don't really see it like that. What do you mean, Iris? Well, if you could travel anywhere in the world instantly, the planet wouldn't really seem vast anymore, would it? I think it would feel like it had shrunk. My word, that's exactly right. But what are the implications? What does this mean? Oops, that got Professor Bunnybrain really whirled by the look of it. Hey, I'm the only Bunnybrain here, thank you. That's my word, you can't use that. Clearly, this is yet another case of just because you can doesn't mean you should, I suppose. The point is, my calculations are flawless. The science works. But without a practical demonstration, it means nothing. And that's always the fly in the ointment. Because practical demonstrations cost a lot of money. Money that young scientists like you don't have. I cannot share money? No. No, I'm very selfish. I would never share anything. He builds a death ray. He could be a useful recruit. I would simply take it for myself. I don't know. This guy seems really like really stuck to it. I think I would just steal it. That's exactly it. Yes. Hurley's always complaining about it. He says the government should invest more in science. Well, anyway, I've bumped into him at the right time. I met the well-known investor, Mr. Asman. The victim who died in yesterday's terrible accident, you mean? Tell us about the victim, who is also your investor, which unfortunately sets up a very big motive for you. The full name of the man who died in yesterday's accident was Mr. Odie Asman, wasn't it? What exactly was your relationship with the man? He first visited me in my laboratory in Germany a year ago now. He said he wanted to invest in my immaculate hypothesis. I thanked my lucky stars. I see. So you hadn't really known each other until then. I love his animations, by the way, how jerky and fast they are. It's kind of funny. Money for scientific research. I'm so envious. As far as I was concerned, the man was an angel. Oh, really? An archangel, even. He was prepared to fund a practical demonstration of my hypothesis for a presentation at the Great Exhibition. And if that went well, I could expect additional financial support for my research from the British government. Mr. Asman provided me with money and an exceptional engineer. He produced a machine to my precise specifications. But then, your dreams were blown to dust in one enormous explosion. As you can see, I owed everything to Mr. Asman. I would never, ever have thought of taking the man's life. Well, he seems genuine enough. I don't think he's lying. Does he have anything to say about the newspaper? Yeah. How could this have happened? You must feel awful. As well as a man losing his life, the Crystal Tower was greatly damaged too. I know what happened. It must have been that. That? The day before the demonstration, I had my usual meal of frankfurters at the hotel restaurant. Then I paid the bill. They gave me 3 shillings too much and change. But instead of saying anything, I just slipped the coins into my pocket. They're still there now. It's divine retribution for my wrongdoing. That's what this is. For a scientist, he has some very illogical anecdotes. Long and illogical. Doesn't look like he has... much more to say. I did show him the newspaper. Huh. Right, the Science Act. I don't have anything else to show him. Show him that I am a lawyer? I already showed him the badge. I already showed him the armband. He talked about how his lab coat was the size too small. Okay, I guess we go back here. Tell me what to do, Iris. I'm lost. I'm so excited about the prospect of Naruhodo's Anything Consultancy opening for business again. That's not what it's called. It's Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. I've done a lot of studying in these past 6 months. That's a funny reference to Ace Attorney 4. Because Phoenix couldn't be a lawyer, so it was actually basically his daughter running the business, and it was the Anything Agency. The Right Anything Agency. I've done a lot of studying in these past 6 months, reading law texts and judicial precedents. I'm sure I'm a better lawyer now. I can't wait to start practicing again. Nothing's changed in here at all, though, has it? It's as though time has stood still in here since Susie went back to Japan. I wanted to keep it ready for Mrs. Otto in case she was able to return to Britain at any point. So I've just left everything the way it was. Hey, if Ryunosuke read one whole book in these 6 months, I consider that impressive for him. By his standards. Oh, I see. Right. And there's me thinking it's because of the way you are, Runo. You know, never bothering to tidy up, I mean. Yeah, come on. Let's be nice to the guy. Iris, this isn't the time or the place to bring up my tidiness, or lack of it. Oops. Hey, check this out. Iris, have a quick look at this. Your lawyer's armband? How many times have you shown me that, Runo? Oh, sorry. It's very important to me, that's all. I don't feel complete somehow if I'm not wearing it. Well, personally, I think you should try wrapping some different things around your arm from time to time. Iris, no, don't say that! No, the lawyer one is fine. Let's not talk about other armbands. Oh, really? Like what? Perhaps a pretzel. Pretzel? I've never heard that word before. Well, I think it's a kind of German defense lawyer symbol. She's just trying to trick me. Interesting. I'll have to try wearing one sometime. What about the newspaper? Iris, about this paper. Oh yes, it's all about the Great Exhibition. I'm so excited about it. Once you've done what you need to do, we should all go together and explore. I don't know, it sounds like it could be quite dangerous. We wouldn't want to get caught in an explosion as we were walking around the showground. Oh, is that what you think's going to happen? Is it? Did we show Strongheart the newspaper? No, and you make a good point. We should try that. Because I don't think there's anything of worth here. Let's try showing it to him, yeah. Maybe he can say... Maybe that's where we'll find the connection with Van Zieks. Oh, that reminds me. Have you seen this? The reports of the overwhelming success of the Great Exhibition, of course. No, not that. The story on the back page. What story? The Reaper attacked. Ah, that. You've enjoyed some victories in court against my #1 prosecutor, have you not? Poor Mr. Reaper. What happened to him? He wasn't killed, was he? There's no need for concern. Lord Von Zieks would not be so easily dispatched, I assure you. Can you tell us what happened? I'd really love to know. How goes the investigation? It's going pretty okay so far. A funny German scientist was accused of disintegrating a man. He thinks it was just an accident, so either way, a guy is dead. Very well, if it interests you. It does, strangely. Ryunosuke's like, why am I so bizarrely concerned with this man who calls me slurs? Don't worry, I understand the feeling. Fortunately, Lord Von Zieks emerged from the attack unscathed. Street ruffians are no match for that man. He's a very capable fighter. But that's incredible. They were armed with guns. This case goes on a trip. Oh, I'm excited. I'm sure it'll be very fun. Why was he attacked, though? Do we know? It's related to events that occurred a month ago. A leader of one of the capital's criminal organizations was indicted and prosecuted by Von Zieks. The man was acquitted. I've no doubt large sums of money were involved behind the scenes. Large sums of money? A deplorable situation. Members of the jury were bribed, it seems. However, despite winning his freedom, the man in question met a dramatic end yesterday. But you're not suggesting that was the work of the Reaper, surely? The victim's henchmen certainly seem to think so. He was a man by the name of Asman, Mr. Odie Asman. Oh, well, there's the connection. Did you say Asman? That's the man who died in the big explosion at the Great Exhibition. Yes, known publicly as an investor, but in reality, the head of a significant criminal organization. Well, now the list of people who would want to murder this guy just, like, shot up a lot. Unbelievable. I wonder, could I ask you something, Lord Strongheart? Try me. Why do you use Lord Von Zeeks as a prosecutor? Yeah, like a bunch of people want him dead. All the criminals who manage to get off in court then meet with mysterious ends outside the courtroom. And fearful of that fate, they seek to strike at Lord Von Zeeks first. I know there's no evidence that he actually is the Reaper in that sense, but still, something's clearly going on here. Now, I have Von Zeeks work for the prosecution service for 2 reasons. Firstly, the man is the best prosecutor in the capital, bar none. And secondly, any deaths of criminals that have occurred outside of the courtroom following his trials are nothing to do with him. That doesn't make sense. How can you explain the way so many have died if not by someone's hand? Thirdly, he's pretty attractive. I mean, look at him. Yeah, there's like really, like if you think about it logically, there's not really any way Von Zeeks could be behind all of these criminals dying mysteriously. Like it just happens too conveniently. Von Zeeks may have earned himself the moniker of the Reaper, but he is no killer. So he will continue to prosecute on behalf of the Crown. Unless he wishes otherwise, of course. He did quit for a while. Well, I must be leaving for my next engagement. I'm already 11 hours and 16 minutes late. My colleagues may be starting to fidget. They've been waiting for him for 11 hours. 11 hours late? That's quite something. That meeting had already started when I arrived back here for this engagement with you. So lateness was inevitable. Time stops for no man. I'm sure it stopped for me during those 12 solid arguments and 223 reasons. Oh yes, where would I find Lord Von Zeeks now? I would assume he's at his office. Right, I'll go and ask him about the attack in person. I want to get this straight from the horse's mouth. Away with you now. I'm leaving Professor Harebrain's defense entirely in your hands. Of course, yes. Thank you very much, my lord. Yeah, we can just... If it happens in the court, that means we can write off all of his thrown wine bottles and glasses as a tax expense. Maybe I can... Let me see if I can go ask Harebrain one more thing. About Odie Asman. No, that doesn't seem to be the case. Okay. If he knew about Odie Asman's criminal activity. That's what I wanted to see if I could ask, but that doesn't seem like I can. I guess we gotta go talk to Von Zeeks. Oh, very fancy. 22nd October, Prosecutor's Office. Oh, so this is the Legendary Reaper's office. Yes, it appears so. Ugh, it sends a chill down your spine, doesn't it? What an amazing deathly atmosphere. Oh, is that? Hello? That hooded figure was so still, I hadn't noticed his or her presence. I wonder who it is. Yeah, I do like his cabinet full of glasses. What are you doing here? Oh, I thought it was Von Zeeks who was kneeling over there. But it's not, it's someone else. I wonder who it could be. Surely this hooded mysterious figure won't be important in the near future. He's as unwelcoming as I thought he'd be. Actually, maybe even more so. Oh, I'm glad to see you're well. I am. So, who's the person over by the wall being punished for something or other? No punishment is taking place here. Oh. That's my apprentice, and he's sitting there of his own free will. I didn't know you had an apprentice. Oh, it's that person in the, huh. It must be the same person who was pictured in the newspaper. I like Von Zeeks' top hat in that picture. He's very able in combat, a requisite skill for anyone under my tutelage. Are you referring to the attack on the Reaper that was reported in the papers? Okay, well... Now that we know Von Zieks has an apprentice who is similar to him, I guess now it's probably a good guess of who the Reaper is. Like, come on. The Reaper? I'd be interested to know the Reaper's true identity myself. Assuming, that is, that your fabled fiend genuinely inhabits our great courtrooms. Hey, check this out. I've always wanted to show him this. I know you've seen this around my arm before, but what is it exactly? It's the mark of a defense lawyer, in Japan at least. And what's your reason for showing it to a British prosecutor? Oh, well, I don't know, really. I can understand, at least. There's merit in reminding yourself of who helped you become what you are today. Oh! But that's a personal matter, something you may want to keep close at all times, not something to flaunt. No, I suppose not. Thank you for understanding, though. That's a new animation. Well, I guess these are all new animations for him. Lord Von Zieks, about the article in this paper. Ah, yes. It seems there was a reporter nearby when that little skirmish took place. I had no idea I'd been photographed. It was careless of me. It looks as though it was taken after the people who attacked you had run away, though. Rest assured, the police have already apprehended every last one of them. But there's someone else fighting alongside you, it seems. And I think it's the same man who's sitting over there as we speak, isn't it? Yeah, Von Zieks has been surprisingly nice so far. He has not called us a slur once. As I mentioned already, he's my apprentice. Perhaps you could tell us a little more about him? Oh, yes, alright. Let's ask about his apprentice. He's in my tutelage to become a prosecutor. So you could say he's my apprentice, I suppose. Ah, like you are to Hurley then, Runo. I don't remember taking an apprenticeship with a great detective. He's currently compiling a report about last night's attack. It looks like he's wearing some kind of mask. On Lord Strongheart's orders, nobody knows the man's face, or indeed his identity. Why would you agree to take on such a clearly suspicious individual? Lord Strongheart's orders again. He's not one for meaningless follies. There will be a good reason for his actions. I hope you're right. I'm sure this guy won't be plot important at all or anything. Oh, he's standing here now. Hey. Ah! The task's complete? Good. In that case, you can collate all the briefs. What? He's looking at me very intensely. Nice to meet you? He has nothing to say to me. Back to work again. I'm sure this guy won't be plot important at all. That was really strange, though. I've never met the man before. I didn't even know he existed. And yet, somehow it didn't feel like our first encounter. Don't bother trying to converse with him. He says nothing to anybody from outside this office. Lord Strongheart has strictly forbidden it. Oh, I see. Why are you so interested in my apprentice anyway? Oh no, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to... The way he stood there so casually, yet with that flawless posture. It couldn't be. He reminds me of my boy best friend. I don't know who else it could be. I don't know who else it could make Ryunosuke think of. Lord Strongheart said that the assault last night was some sort of revenge attack? True. Carried out by henchmen of Odi Asmon's criminal organization. The investigation meant their arrests were imminent. Presumably, some hoped to kill me before that happened. Odi Asmon. He is always masqueraded as one of London's most powerful financiers, a global investor. But his enormous wealth came to him by underhanded means via his criminal activities. I thought you were going to say like a small loan from his wealthy parents. Small loan of 100 million. And he used that money to buy himself a verdict of not guilty when he found himself in court, didn't he? Being prosecuted by you, Mr. Reaper. But the man got his comeuppance in the end. Yesterday, in fact, in extraordinary circumstances. It was a most unusual cause of death. I know about that. It was super high voltage instantaneous kinesis gone wrong. Mr. Asmon died when the demonstration on the public experimentation stage ended in an enormous explosion. Correct. And you think I have some kind of divine ability to cause an accident like that to happen, do you? Well, no, that does seem a little far-fetched. If this man really is the fabled Reaper, then he has to be innocent of this particular death, at least. It's strange how this has worked out, isn't it, Runo? I mean, what with you taking on the professor's defense for the trial tomorrow? What? You are going to be defending him? Oh, yes, that's right. Though I barely know the man's name yet, to be honest. Albert. Albert Harebrain. That's right. Do you know him, by any chance? Of course. He's a contemporary of mine. We were at university together. You're... What? Oh wow, he's your college pal, huh? I'd understood that Professor Harebrain was from Germany, though. Harebrain's from a respectable British family. After graduating from the University of London, he moved to Germany to carry out research, that's all. I'm sorry, guys, he's not actually German. I have to draw up the funny German accent. So you were students together. I was in the Faculty of Law, of course, and he's in Science, so our paths really crossed. But curiously, we got along. I have not met him since my university days. I certainly didn't expect our next encounter to take this form. And with you, of all people, representing him. Only if I make it out of this office alive. He's actually been charged with murder, it seems. Yes, I know. Because the prosecution will be handled by me. By you? But you made it sound as if you and the professor had been friends. We are friends, it's true. Then why would you do this? If the Reaper is the prosecutor, there's nothing anyone can do to save him. He's doomed. We're just gonna stare at each other for a little bit. What's Lord Von Zeke's thinking? Tell us about the Reaper's identity. What do you mean by what you said before? You'd like to know if the Reaper's true identity, does that mean... I'm a crown prosecutor and a mortal like any other. I'm no demigod. But they've all died, haven't they? The people you've prosecuted, I mean. Whether or not the trial ended in a conviction or an acquittal. Those I prosecute are the vilest wretches of our society. People who, without question, deserve to be found guilty. The world is a better place without them. But that's not true of Mr. Natsume, for example. He wasn't a vile wretch at all. Nor was Ginny. In fact, she was ever so hardworking now. Yeah, the Saberface. I can't deny that since I encountered you, the things have taken a turn. But the point is this. If any of those vile wretches that escaped justice subsequently died in mysterious circumstances, it was at the hand of their own kind. It's not my work. Lord Strongheart said the name. He believes you're not involved in any way. But you were attacked by those ruffians because they believe it's true. Is he gonna say criminals are a superstitious and cowardly lot? The fact is, since people started to call me the Reaper of the Bailey, the number of serious crimes in the capital has dropped substantially. Oh. It would appear that even the most hardened criminals can be made fearful for their lives. That's close enough. They're a superstitious and cowardly lot. Do you mean to say... I mean to say that if my pseudonym serves a useful purpose, I adopt it gladly and with honor. But it's putting you in danger. You could be killed. If that is my fate, let God decide. Lord Von Zeeks. Blame yourself or God. Ah, yes, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. Oh, what's that? That Nepalese man, is he faring well? Sorry? The one arrested twice in succession 6 months ago, with the stoop and the moustache and the jitters. Ah, Mr. Natsume, you mean? I'm not sure he'd be very pleased to find out you identified him from that list, Runo. Well, all those things are objectively true. He's fine, thank you. In fact, I received a letter from him by international post only the other day. I see. Well, I think we can end our discussion there, don't you? There's a little time left before tomorrow's trial. I advise you to spend it investigating the case. Yes, thank you for the advice, and for the conversation. I can't believe he's asking after Soseki-san, after a Nipponese. I'm not sure whether to feel happy about that or worried. I never imagined that Mr. Reaper would be friends with a mad scientist, did you? That's a turn-up for the books. A mad scientist? Ah, you mean Professor Hairbrain. Yes, it might be worth quizzing the professor about his relationship with Lord Von Zeeks, I think. I'm done talking to you. Go away. Okay, let's go ask Hairbrain about Von Zeeks. The Reaper's varsity years. That's a funny... I understand Lord Von Zeeks is a friend of yours from your university days? Yes, that's right. He was studying law whilst I was studying science. What was he like back then? A good question. Unassuming, gentlemanly, an all-round nice fellow, really. I can't do the German accent anymore. He's not actually from Germany. He only went there for a little bit. He's British. Sorry, I think you misheard me. I'm talking about the cold-hearted, merciless prosecutor, Barrick Von Zeeks. What was he like when he was at university? Talk about a leading question, Runo. As I said, an unassuming and extremely pleasant gentleman. After all, he is the little darling of the Von Zeeks family, with all its great aristocratic origins. I didn't realize he had quite such noble blood. Little darling? It was a bit of a shock when I came back to Britain and learned what he'd become. The Reaper of the Bailey, no less. Yes, that's right. I did hear, though, that there was a very big event in his life that completely changed him after graduation. Really? What sort of event? Ah! I'm sorry, but I don't know anymore. He wasn't in the country at the time. I was in Germany already. Oh, yes, of course. If he's heard all about the Reaper, I really don't have the heart to tell him that Lord Von Zeeks will be the prosecutor in court tomorrow. You should probably tell him. Oh well, it'll be a funny surprise. So, Professor, let me just make absolutely sure I've understood you properly. The huge explosion that occurred yesterday, that was an accident, you're saying. You had no intent to harm the victim, who was in fact the sole investor in your work. Is that correct? As correct as 2 squared is 4, I swear it. Yes, it's It's true that the man perished in a machine of my invention, so I know that I'm far from blameless in all this, but still, I would never use my discoveries, my inventions, to take a person's life, not in a centillion years. I'm a man of science, it's all I know. You have to believe me, please. Do you believe me? Do you believe in my hypothesis? Science is the pursuit of truth, you know. I've always believed that. Always, all my life. We here at the Ryunosuke agency do believe in the pursuit of truth. I'm afraid I don't know much about science or your theories, but I do believe you, and I will fight to prove your innocence with all my might. I'm a man of the law. It's all I know. You have to believe me, please. He repeated it. When I went to live in Germany after I graduated, I learned something very important. Nationality, class, lineage, none of that matters. As long as you try your hardest, you can achieve anything. Thank you for that, Professor. And thank you in advance for defending me tomorrow in court. He seems alright. He seems like a nice guy. Alright, Runo, it's time. Time to visit the Great Exhibition. Sorry? Well, that's where the incident happened, isn't it? Yes, I suppose that's true. Time to investigate it last. Bum, dum, dum, dum. Okay, let's go. I like that song a lot, the song that was just playing. The 22nd of October, the Great Exhibition Grounds, foot of the Crystal Tower. The showgrounds are a little too big for my liking. I almost said the new grounds. We're gonna play a bunch of Flash games. We've been walking around in dense crowds for 2 hours now, and I felt myself swooning 3 times, like some sort of delicate lady. There are a lot of... Sorry, I swallowed. There are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden on 3 times, too. Be careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. We finally made it through the throngs, though, by the look of it. Here we are, underneath the public experimentation stage where the explosion happened yesterday. Oh, lots of noise. Why is the clock broken? What's that? I can hear voices from up on the stage. Sounds like an argument. What are they arguing about? Right, I've had it with you this time. I'm warning you, I'll arrest you in a minute. Oh, it's the Saberface. It's the Saberface. From the first game. I love Gina. She's great. I like doing her funny little Cockney accent. Oh, yeah? Go on then, Inspector. Give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence. You know it. Wait, I know those voices. You've got a cheeky little mouth on you, young lady. But a night in the cells will teach you some manners. Just try it, I dare ya, if you want the bag of chips rammed down your throat. Oi! Yoo-hoo! Gregsy, what are you doing up there? Oh, that's right. He's Iris's, like, she always pays him for info she can use for her stories. So he's like, I'll do anything you say, miss. Ah, it's you. Here you are. Here, your ladyship. Yeah, and then he does, like, this face. How are you, your ladyship? I do hope you're well, your ladyship. Does that make her 3 times a lady? I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere. I wanted to ride in a balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue. Unbelievable. I'll go having a word for you at once, your ladyship. You'll be flying high as a kite in no time once I pull some strings for you. Tobias Gregson, an inspector at Scotland Yard. This animation is so funny. Sorry, he's all wiggly. Until recently, he was suspended from duty, but it would appear he's back in action now. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Well, that's right, because of his part in the cover-up that was part of the last case in the first game, he got suspended. And for that reason, he can't say a word wrong to the story's author, Iris. But there are limits, surely. Or there should be. Watch it, sunshine. Sorry. What gives, then? Don't tell me you're on this case. Yes, I'm acting for the defense. So we're here to investigate. Dear me, that's the situation, is it? Is it really that troubling? Tisk, I'm merely 5 bob. Is that all you got? Hang on, I gotta get back in my Gina voice. You're a lawyer, ain't ya? You could stand to carry a bit more copper around in your pockets, Mr. Naruto. What? Hey, that's my last bit of spending money, that is. Nope, mine now. Ha ha. You can have it back, but I'll have to charge you for all the bother. 3 bob. This is Gina Lestrade, a pickpocket, or a diver, born and bred in the East End of London. In the case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago, this is the young girl I was defending in court. What's your problem, eh, Odo? Diver, pickpocket, what's with all the name calling? You want a bag of chips round in your throat and all, do ya? I thought you were proud to be a diver, Gina. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assumed you'd been up to your usual tricks here at the showground. That ain't no way to talk to a lady, Odo. Half a year's a long time. People can change. I'm an apprentice now, learning to be a Scotland Yard detective. So you'll have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade now. That's so good. I remember when I finished the first game, this is literally what she hoped for, that she would become a detective of her own way. I mean, you know, the cop part is kind of bad, but I get the joke, which is that, you know, there was the Lestrade in the real life stories, and now she is becoming that Lestrade. It's very cute, though. I love it. I love that she became an inspector. An inspector? That badge is homemade, surely. The inspector part isn't entirely accurate. No one calls her that. For what it's worth, anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us. What's that supposed to mean? Right, well, I'll be back up top. You hold down the fort here, alright? Right, sir. I guess he's her direct superior now, that's true. This raises a lot of questions. I guess we'll ask Gina. Gina, take a look at this first. This armband is proof, in Japan at least, that I'm a defense lawyer. And this badge is proof that I'm a detective. So you're all gonna have to start calling me Inspector Lestrade. In that case, you'll have to start calling me, well, anything but Odo. I could call you Defender, Naruto, if you like. But it don't really trip off the tongue. No, it doesn't have a great ring to it, does it? What about the newspaper? Does she care about the newspaper? Oh, she took it. How dare you? Okay, she doesn't care about the newspaper. Yes, I really like her theme song too, this one. Okay, let's see what she has to say about herself. It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered Gina in connection with a case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing, but then she got embroiled in a murder. I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realized I couldn't go on like I was. The diving weren't working out. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear it, Ginny. Well done. So, you went... Oh, sorry, that's Rianosuke again. So, you went from being a pickpocket to a detective? You got it. Good, innit? Inspector Lestrade. Sounds like something out of a book, eh? Talk about a sea change. And then there's Iris's old man to think about. Iris's father, you mean? Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? I said I'd get all the police forces around the world to pull out all the stops looking for him. Wow, how did they not know he died in Japan? I feel like that news would have gotten back. Unless it's part, obviously there's some cover-up thing going on, probably. Just a small promise, then. Nothing serious? Oh, Ginny, you're so sweet. So anyway, that's how I had to go get tests for Scotland Yard. Only trouble is, I didn't read so well, do I? Just a small problem, nothing serious. And that's when Hurley approached Gregsy and asked for help. So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility for Ginny and made her sort of an apprentice. It was very magnanimous of Inspector Gregson, and brave. Well, you know Hurley. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants. The great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words. Well, Gregson is a cop. I'm sure he's taken a lot of bribes. So, the long and short of it is, if you've got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade. Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding Gina, isn't there? Ooh, what, Bruno, what? Well, 6 months ago, Gina was a defendant in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper. A trial in which she was found not guilty. And yet, here she is still. Come on, you don't know all about all that, or ya? The Legend of the Reaper, or whatever it's called? Coy, you don't half worry, Odo. I didn't half worry. There's probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left. It's like I told you before, ain't it? The Reaper's kinda like him upstairs, so he knows what I'm like on the inside, that I ain't really done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong might be a stretching point. He's just like God. He'll kill you, but only if you're actually bad. That makes sense. What about Mr. Natsume in Japan? He's perfectly fine, isn't he? Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought. Exactly. So I ain't worried. I'm totally fine. Okay, let's learn about yesterday. Core, it was out of this world, it was. The brainy bloke pulled a bunch of levers on his machine and suddenly it started billowing smoke. Then it just went pop. I ain't seen a better experiment here yet. This one was fun because it exploded. Sorry? You mean you saw it, Ginny? With your own eyes? Yeah, of course. The boss is in charge here, ain't he? Of course, of keeping everything running smooth, I mean. The boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose. That's going to take some getting used to. So all I have to say is that I'm on duty and I can do whatever I want to. Get this, I was up in one of them flying balloons when it happened, watching it from above. No, you're so lucky, Ginny. Maybe I should join Scotland Yard too. Yeah, do it. You know how to put the boss in his place already, right, Iris? You'd have no trouble at all. Then it's settled. When do I start? No. You can't join Scotland Yard, Iris. Don't become a cop, Iris. That would be bad. Well, we'll see. Anyway, what I don't understand is this. If the machine exploded so spectacularly, how can Professor Bunnybrain still be claiming that his experiment was a success? Oh, right. Well, it was a success, in a way. It was. How can it have been? Tell us about how successful this experiment was exactly. Surely after the whole machine blew up, no one could call the experiment a success. It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a load of smoke and that whopping great bang. But where do you think they found the victim's body, eh? In the crystal tower over there. What? In the tower? Oh, he didn't get teleported. He just died. Or the explosion threw him through the clock, which is probably more likely considering the big hole. I need to take a sippy fairly often when I'm reading aloud. You could see for yourself, can't you? Up there above the scaffold. Oh, where all the glass is broken, you mean? Yeah, the cage what the victim got in start with really did get beamed through the air or whatever and landed all the way over there. So, you see, it did kinda work, didn't it? What? I don't believe it. I mean, I don't get the ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right? With science. Oh, I tell you what, you can have this. It's a plan of the experiment they drew up at the yard. Are you sure? Yeah, go on. I had 3 bob off you before, so fair's fair. Yes, I didn't actually give that to you, did I? Gina says being bribed is A-okay. Tell us about the investigation. Something Inspector Gregson said before seemed a little strange. Yeah, why can't we look? I want to see. For what it's worth, anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us. Yes, naughty old Gregsy ran off after that without explaining himself. Oh, right. That. The boss said no one's allowed to investigate that weird machine what blew up yesterday. Well, that's not fair. We're presenting the defendant. In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations? No, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate neither. Why? What did the boss call them again? The Forensic Investigation Team, I think. Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, innit? I see. So, they've got the forensic guys, because they're very invested in pushing the forensics. I wonder if we can talk to any of them. So even Scotland Yard's own detectives can't investigate. Yes, I've never heard something like that before. I thought I could have a gander on the quiet there, but the boss caught me at it. You probably heard him giving me an earful about it before from down here, didn't you? It's not bleeding fair. I think you were giving him as much of an earful back as I remember it. Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips what make him so stubborn. You say something to him, Odo. Go on, see if you can get through to him. He's up on the platform above us, is he? Where the machine exploded. We can try, can't we, Reno? Gregsy will listen to us. I mean, I guess we could go try. Oh, there's like a bunch of stuff on the ground. Must be debris from the explosion. For some reason, the ground is damaged in this spot, look. Almost as if there was a fire here or something. Yes, if you look closely, there's some scattered ash and burnt embers, too. Well, I suppose there was a big explosion just above here. People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at a small fire like this would have been. I'm not sure we English are quite that laid back, Reno. The Crystal Tower. The Crystal Tower. It's certainly an apt name. It was built to be the focal point of the exhibition, and it definitely is, being so tall and with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan. You can't? You can't imagine a building mostly made out of steel framework being erected in Japan? I guess he's not very forward-thinking. There's a lot of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course, there's an observation deck, but that's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. But I heard you have to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors. Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may well be the biggest draw. And thanks to that accident, the whole tower is shut. Suddenly, it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Shower. Apparently, everyone's taking to the skies now to look down on the disaster area from above instead. But there's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now. Londoners must be very patient people. I wouldn't wait in a 3-hour queue. Ah, we can look up. These guys wouldn't look so low res on a 3DS screen. That's where the curve ended up after his instant kinesis, or whatever they call it. Dead, of course. And yet they're calling it the experiment a success? What's the wooden scaffold there for? The coppers, our lads, set that up after the incident happened. To get the body down, I think. Dunno, really. Didn't you help to erect the scaffold, then? Nah, lookout duty's more my thing. Wandering around the exhibition and keeping a lookout for the fun stuff. Mind Gregson doesn't hear you say that, or he'll give you the boot. It's incredible, though, isn't it? I mean, couldn't the victim really have bridged the gap by some sort of invisible kinesis? I think the explosion just knocked him up there. I don't know. This platform must have been set up for the experiment, I suppose. It's very high up. About 30 feet above the ground, apparently. That's what a policeman I spoke to said. I don't really understand feet very well. We don't use them in Japan. Oh yes, sorry. It's about 9 meters. But soon you'll have been in London a year, Runo. It's about time you got used to our measurements. Yes, well... This thing is so tall, the spectators at the front will just have been a wall and nothing else. They'd probably thought they'd secured the best spot to watch from, only to be disappointed. There's a saying in Japan, the darkest spot is right under the lighthouse. I feel like it probably applies here. There's stairs above, obviously to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. Up we go. "22nd October, the Great Exhibition Grounds experimentation stage." Wow, it's still smoking. So that's it, is it? The machine that blew up. Ooh, it must have been a magnificent explosion. And I've seen my fair share. You've seen things like this before, you mean? Of course, Hurley's always doing experiments that end in a bang. In fact, in his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry. That might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs. One time, he made something that exploded with such force it took the roof off the building. I wish you'd been there to see it, Runo. It's hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live in the roof. Well, anyway, that's enough about that. It's time to investigate. Oh, there's Gregson. Ah, look, Inspector Gregson is over there. He seems to be deep in thought about something, whilst eyeing up the machine carefully. Really? He just looks confused to me. They're very similar expressions. It ripped itself apart magnificently, didn't it? Magnificently and mercilessly. So someone stands in the middle of the machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air. Yes, beamed. Not blasted. That's the point. Yes, that part's crucial, really. Is something like that even possible, though, Iris? Oh, Runo, I'm just a child. How should I know? A child when it suits you, you mean? She can make all kinds of stuff, but if you ask her a question she doesn't know... Stop! Don't touch that! That was practically instantaneous kinesis the way you flew over just now, Gregsy. Please, your ladyship. Oh, I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here. So sorry. You could have one of my latest special blend to make up for it. She has a thermos? Sip. Ah, wonderful. This stuff really is wonderful. Just like old times, this is. I hate that face. Stop looking at me with them big ol' eyes. We're representing Professor Harebrain in court tomorrow, Inspector. So we should be allowed to examine the scene. Ha! Listen, Sunshine, even I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. It's that blasted Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act to blame. That's a mouthful. It's driving me potty. Oh yes, that special dispensation. The professor mentioned that too. More red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing at sometimes. But we're allowed to just look, aren't we? Eh? Surely that's alright, isn't it, Gregsy? Hit him where it hurts. Of course, your ladyship. Anything you say, your ladyship. But please don't get your dainty hands dirty, will you? Don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, wouldn't we, Bruno? I guess this defeats our usual strategy of just taking things from the scene of the crime that works out in most Ace Attorney games. She really knows how to get what she wants. Alright, let's talk to him. Using high voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body, and then beam him across to the Crystal Tower. It's an extraordinary thing to attempt, especially in public. True, it was by far the most unusual of the experiments planned for the exhibition, mind. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous with so many spectators present, I mean. The government's doing everything it can to promote new science and technology at the moment. They're more worried about being ahead of the game than the old spot of public safety infringements. They can be the first to develop some new technology and makes Britain more powerful in the future, you see? Yes, I suppose that's true in a way. So the powers that be are placing a heavy emphasis on scientists' rights at the moment. What sort of rights? They're making it so that any theories that brains have remains their legal property, as it were. Right through development into a practical idea and even going into production. Right, we have the copyright law. Oh boy. Which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to touch this crime scene. Because the new highfalutin Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act else forbids it. Forbids it. Forbids? Forbade? You can't use forbade like that. Forbids. Ah, I see now. The only people with permission to investigate here are from some brand new department at the Yard. The Forensic Investigation Team, it's called. We've been relegated to keeping guard. The Forensic Investigation Team. Any old fool can see that this heap of scrap metal was a sham to begin with. Just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, we can't do a flaming thing with it. He crunched his chips. If you're gonna crunch it instead of eating it, at least give it to me. Sorry, he's very... Poor Gregsy. He's very het up, isn't he? Oh no, that's the worst. I hate people who are het up. I don't like people who are het myself. Not a fan of the hets, personally. Remind me again, what's this new legal act that means we're not allowed to touch the scene here? Are you having me at it, Sunshine? It's the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. Yes. I think Hurley mentioned that recently. With a real twinkle in his eye, as I remember. I'm sure he did, your ladyship, I'm sure he did. Passed especially for this great exhibition it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas or inventions to some suits in the civil service. And if it gets rubber stamped, that's guarantee of rights to maintain the invention's confidentiality. What does that really mean? Thinking about it. Think of all the world-changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition. Although a good half of them are a load of cobblers, if you ask me, put forward by shammers like yourself. Wait. I'm a shammer? I've never shammed in my life, thank you. Everything I say is 100% true and genuine. I have never shammed. I've never grifted or shammed or swindled. I would never do that, wouldn't I? I would never swindle. I've always kept my word. I would never backstab, scheme, or betray. Never. Never in my life. Anyways, Thanks for that. Oh, I love how absurd some of the inventions here are. It's all so fun. It might be fun to you, but a member of the Force has to be present at every single demonstration. Can you imagine, eh? Hang science, that's what I say. Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job. You'd soon think otherwise after spending a day guarding all these shammers, bogus contraptions. But if they're all bogus, how can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point. Yeah, well, there is a point, sadly. Sorry? Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas. If any theory or invention is deemed to show potential, the government hands out a research grant. The scientists get funding? Exactly. And that's why they're all after. All these shammers coming from far and wide to clog up. I can't talk today. I'm having so much trouble. To clog up Hyde Park. And who has to keep them all safe, eh? Who has to smile politely and welcome them? Us coppers, that's who. Oh no, how horrible for you. So you can see why I say it now, can't you? Hang science, hang it. Oh, maybe I can see your point. Yeah, cop upset he has to do his job. Typical cop behavior right here. Apparently, Professor Harebrain lives and works in Germany now, conducting his research. That's right. Come back to Britain, especially for the great exhibition, as I understand it. Probably after one of the government's research grants. Huh. Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today. About his time in further education. Turns out he was at university with someone we both know. Lord Von Zieks. Eh? What's that? News to me? But if Von Zieks mans the prosecution, then is he accused, the professor's fate is... Also, hey, if you were friends with this guy in college, isn't that like a conflict of interest? Do we have any laws about that yet? Probably not. Sealed? Because the Reaper will get him, one way or another. Do we have anything about conflicts of interest? I don't know. Blimey. Man's beyond me. I don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Von Zieks, this morning's paper ran the story of him being attacked. Read that? Oh, yes, but Mr. Reaper is completely fine. Nothing to worry about. Yes, right. Glad to hear it. Still, the Reaper, huh? How long's that business gonna keep up, I wonder? The mystery of the Reaper. Who is the Reaper, really? Because I don't think it's Zieks. The victim of this case, the investor, Mr. Asman. He was another of the Reaper's victims, or so I heard. Lord Berg von Zieks is a top-class prosecutor, but even he can't always push the right verdict through. Sometimes justice can't win. Yes, I've heard about jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, isn't it? Obviously, Scotland Yard suspects Von Zieks initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands after he failed to seal the deal in court. Although the man himself denies that charge. Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusions we've reached is that Lord Von Zieks is in no way related to the deaths of those people outside the courtroom. There's no question in my mind. I'd stake my reputation on it, I would. But if that's true, then how do you explain it? All those defendants couldn't have just coincidentally died if nobody killed them. I know that, but I can't explain it. It's a mystery after all, isn't it? That's the whole point of the Reaper. Excuse me. I had a little sniffle. Professor Harebrain mentioned something else. He said that at university, Lord Von Zieks was a totally different person, easygoing and kind. You what? He said that it was after they both graduated that something happened to change the man. Do you have any idea what it was? No clue. Really? That's a really suspicious way to deny that, but okay. Look, I've got my hands full watching over this frustrating crime scene. Why don't you go and make a nuisance of yourself elsewhere, eh? I think that's the universal language for I know things, but I'm not going to tell you. Well, what do you think of this? This is the symbol of a defense lawyer where I come from, Inspector. Well, it doesn't pass muster here in London. You might as well chuck it in the deep fat fryer. No one's ever said that to me before. Mr. Shulm suggested I feed it to a dog, though. You fry it first, you can feed it to me. Does he think it's made of potato? No, I think he'll just eat it regardless. Inspector, have you read this paper? Yeah, 2 unwelcome blasts back to back. This one at the exhibition and the Reapers getting attacked. I know, terrible news to wake up to, wasn't it? Well, I tried to pretend I hadn't read it and turned over for another 40 weeks. I do that all the time. Thanks to that, I was up late and got me roasting from the super. Some mornings are like that, aren't they? What about this one? Nothing for that one. Alright, well, I guess we just got to examine our scene here. Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Hairbrain was lucky to escape unscathed, I'd say. We should have a good look around the machine while we can, I think. Touch anything and I'll make sure I kill you before you get strung up myself, you hear? I won't touch a thing, I promise. So please, spare a thought for your digestion. Anyway, do you really think this machine could be actually disassemble people like the professor claims? He asked, looking totally incredulous. Give it a rest, sunshine. If we were allowed to examine all this bleeding scrap metal, maybe we could answer that question. But we can't, can we? Because of the annoying rules, you mean? Exactly, the annoying, obstructive, flaming rules. Oh, look at the base of the machine there. Oh yes, there's a tool of some kind poking through the wire mesh. A. It looks like the letter A. It's a screwdriver, I think. Oh, isn't it a lovely one? The handle is in the shape of a capital letter A. Yeah, that's what I said. It is? Oh yes, you're right. What's the matter with you? Don't touch anything, I said. Touch anything and I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung up myself, I said. Yes, I understand, sorry. I only touched it a teeny weeny bit. But Gregsy, I'm very curious about this screwdriver, really very, very curious. Of course, your ladyship, you're so clever, your ladyship. Fancy spotting something like this. What a suck-up. But I'm afraid I can't let you have it. But Runo found it first. I assure you I'll investigate it thoroughly. He's gone off with it. That was very mean, I'm afraid. Inspector Gregson is going to make a very clumsy and embarrassing mistake in next month's installment now. Poor Gregsy. Is there anything more? Oh, here we go. There are all sorts of strange buildings here in the Great Exhibition Grounds, aren't there? I seem to remember something similar being exhibited in Japan one time. Oh, in your country, Reno? I do wish I could go and see it. I'd present a particularly steely samurai with a present of one of Hurley's stories I'd written especially, and see if I couldn't get Hurley into a jam against some Bartitsu Master Ninjas. You might not find as many of those sorts of people around as you think. Oh, well that's dull. Oh, but I do know a prosecutor with a Chonmage top knot I can introduce you to. Unfortunately, it's gone now. He cut it off, remember? A Chonmage, really? Do you think I could have any picture taken with him? Do you? Assuming he's recovered from the trim Kazuma gave him a year ago, yes. Unfortunately, he hasn't. I guess that's right, Ryunosuke doesn't know that was Susato's trial. His hair is all gone now. How sad. For him, I think it's funny. What is that gigantic thing over there? It looks like an enormous water wheel. Oh, that's a Ferris wheel. There'll be people riding inside those little cabins you can see. Why? Well, they rotate nice and slowly, so it's a wonderful way to see the surrounding scenery. Narrator. He, in fact, did not recover. Wait, it's turning? But it looks completely still. Yes, that's because it's turning so slowly. One complete revolution takes about half an hour. If you were mad enough to go in one, it would be more fun to whiz around fast, don't you think? I feel as though you might have just invented a new sort of ride there, Runo. I thought Runo would be the type of person to be scared of it. I guess we found everything. Oh wait, we can go up. There we go. That amazing horn-shaped device is pointing towards the crystal tower. I suppose once people are disassembled by the machine, they're shot out of that thing to wherever they're going. I don't think it was supposed to shoot anything, Runo. It was set up to beam people to the crystal tower, where they'd be reconstructed in their original form. Well, I don't like the look of it. If it was as amazing as it looks, this accident wouldn't have happened in the first place, of course. I suppose that's true, yes. Nothing ever goes according to plan, does it? There's one of the balloons. So those are people carrying balloons dangling silently in the skies over London. I always thought the day would come when humans would discover how to fly, but I never imagined it would involve them being suspended from colorful, floating Temari handballs. I'm sure it must feel amazing being up there among the clouds. Let's take a ride together, Runo, please. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would like to try it. Without a cast iron guarantee that the thing won't plummet to the ground, I'm too scared. Oh well, in that case, I should tell you what Hurley said. It's physically impossible for a flying balloon to plummet to the ground, as long as it doesn't explode. Technically true, yes. Yes, call me crazy, but I think that exploding part might play on my mind a little. Bum-bum-bum-bum. Doesn't look like there's anything else. No? I think we've got everything. Oh no, there is more stuff, according to Iris. The kingpins of the criminal underworld generally manage to escape conviction in the Reaper's trials. And this isn't the first time their henchmen have tried to attack Lord Von Zeeks as a result, by the sound of it. Makes you think. That's how the justice system works in London. There must be a dark forces at work. Dark forces indeed. What am I missing? missing? How do I get back down? What is missing here? No? Yeah, I've already read all of these. Maybe there was something... I think there might have been something I forgot to examine down here. Yeah, here we go. Oh, look! What's this? A ripped piece of cloth. It's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. It's very thick and stiff. It looks extremely durable. It's canvas, I think. Some sort of rubber backing. And the edges appear to be a bit charred as well. Maybe that means it had something to do with the explosion. Let's make a note of it while Ginny's mid-yawn. Torn piece of canvas-like material backed with rubber that was found under the experimentation stage of the exhibition grounds. There are scorched marks at the edges. There we go. And there's this. Ah, it looks like as though somebody dropped something behind the tree just here. Dropped or hid. What is that? That looks weird. Some part of the machine that exploded? Maybe. It could have fallen from the platform above in the blast, perhaps. What's going on here? Oh, nothing. I think I'll hang on to this just in case. Mysterious. There we go, now we found everything. Runo, listen. Also, I wanted to look at them. Doesn't look like there's... Well, the back is completely singed. Looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. I've never seen anything like it before. But applying Mr. Sholmes' methods, you might deduce it was part of a raincoat worn by someone who really, really didn't want to get wet. And the charring must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. That is definitely Sholmes' method. Or maybe not. What is this? Is it a crossbow? Like a repeating crossbow? Like, it's shaped like a crossbow, right? Like, if this, like, bottom part folds out and the things flip forward, it becomes a crossbow. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Ah, there's some sort of lever here. Yeah, I was right. What the? What is this? It looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. Some sort of cross bow. I think it's probably used for the same thing, too. Yeah. This groove here must be where the arrows are loaded, I suppose. So I was right. It's a sort of bow with an automatic firing mechanism. This would be perfect for someone like me who catches his ear with the bowstring 2 times out of 3. In fact, if I had one of these, maybe I could have beaten Cosmo in Kyoto archery training. Oh, there's the handle. It looks like you wind this around in order to draw the bowstring back and create tension. You must be able to fire arrows with a huge amount of force using this device then. In fact, I would imagine it's far more accurate and powerful than a Japanese longbow. Ugh, I really had no idea what I was picking up when I spotted this at the exhibition grounds. Looks like that's it. Yeah. Well, the plot has thickened now that we've found a weapon. I've been thinking. Hurley might know something. Blah, blah, blah. Hurley might know something, mightn't he? About what? About Mr. Reaper. About what happened to Lord Von Zeeks, you mean? Because it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. And Sholmes always gets stiff whenever Zeeks is brought up. Like, he knows him, he said. Something that completely changed his life. Maybe, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he? Here, this is what you need. Madame Tuspel's. What's this, some kind of entrance ticket? Madame Tuspel's. Is this supposed to mean something to me? You didn't know? It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We could go now if you like. No, we don't have time for visiting attractions today, Iris. We have a big trial tomorrow. But that's where Hurley is. What? At this popular London attraction? Yes. How is it that you know where he is? Hurley told me, but he told me to keep it a secret from you, Runo. Madame Tuspel's? I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here, but then stranger things have happened. And when they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them. Does he know? Alright, we'll go to this place. Let's see what's up with this weirdo. Some sort of magic show? That's what my guess was. Oh, I was totally off. I thought it would be a magic show. It's Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxworks. That's weird. Now hold on. Tell me more about this woman with the knife, please. Hello, miss? Is that supposed to be like Elizabeth Bathory or something? The lady who bathed in blood? What is this place? Look at all these terrifying scenes. But why are all the people so still? Guillotines, ruthless murders. I know what I'll be dreaming about tonight. They're all wax models. They're amazingly realistic, aren't they? What do you think, Runo? Shocked? What? Wax models? Ah! It's a knockoff Tussauds? I've never heard of that. Is that like a popular wax museum in London or something? I read about the dead bodies in wax once in a magazine about strange phenomena. Depending on how corpses are kept after death, parts of them can turn to wax, apparently. It's called adipose there. Stop talking about creepy things like that, Runo. You're scaring me. Anyway, adipocere doesn't form readily, you know. It's only in very specific... Ah! What now? I've just remembered something else I read in another magazine about strange phenomena. There was an old lady, maybe a witch, who used to pour molten wax over corpses and put them on display. None of the exhibits in here are real. They're all entirely man-made replicas. They can't be. Do you really expect me to believe that? Just look at them. Oh. There's no way anybody could make models of people that are this realistic. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Every single time with you. I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of this. Go away, you freak. Go away. And they're all such gruesome scenes. Wait. What is it? Oh. No. I must be seeing things. Again with the Sholmes jump scare. Alright, well... what's with the arm here? Is this an arm? It looks like an arm, doesn't it? Maybe one of the Waxwork models has fallen over. You don't think it could be the work of one of the mass murderers in here, do you? Bruno, so stop scaring me. Is it a wax arm or a real one? Come on, you're always pointing that finger of yours in court. Poke that arm now and see how it feels. Objection! What does it say? That big heavy curtain is in a very prominent position, isn't it? Madame Tussauds is a big series of wax museums started in London? Oh, okay. That makes sense. I have a nasty feeling there's going to be something truly terrifying behind it. Oh yes, that's the famous Tuspel's special exhibit. It's hard. There's so many S's. Please. It depicts one of England's most notorious killers. Do you want to pay the extra fee and have a look? Pay more money to be even more terrified? Ooh, let me think about that for a moment. It was only a suggestion. Okay, who are these? Oh, no, that's too far. What's this one? These models are so well made, I can't tell what's waxwork and what's a real human. Or maybe all the exhibits are real people. And when it's closing time and all the visitors have gone home, they suddenly start moving about. Just thinking about it makes me wish it was closing time already and I was on my way home. What a funny guy. Yeah, tell me more about the hot evil lady, please, please. Is this some infamous murderer? Yes, called Jane the Ripper. All her victims were young women. Oh, I thought it was... But there's Jack the Ripper over there, isn't it? I knew it. You could tell by the way she's holding that knife. Sure sign of a murder. Well, yes. Ah! What's the matter, Bruno? I've worked it out. I know what she's doing. She's trying to fill that bathtub with blood so she can have a soak in her victim's gore. Not according to the information about the exhibit on the little board here. It doesn't mention anything about the bathtub. Really? Sorry, I don't think it's significant. Then why is... I thought it was Elizabeth Bathory, you know. She was like the weird vampire lady who thought bathing in women's blood would make her live forever. I still think it has to be there for a reason. I'd let her stab me. See, this one looks like Jack the Ripper, though. Is there a Jack and Jane in this world? Is this an example of Western Sujigiri? I don't know what that is. You know, when an unscrupulous samurai randomly attacks a passerby to test his sword? I still don't know, no. But actually, a waxwork samurai would probably be hugely popular. Could you model it, do you think, Bruno? Doing that Sujigiri thing you mentioned. Well, I do have a sword, but I have no intention of testing how sharp it is on a human subject. For now, at least. Why did you qualify it like that? Oh, that's a funny place for a little ladder. Oh, here it comes. Is it finally? I've been waiting a whole game for it. What is it? Is something wrong? No, it's just that in Japanese, we have a totally different word for a ladder that folds in half like that. Say it. Say it. I know you want to say it. We do in English too, you know. It's a step ladder, or just steps. Yeah, finally. I've been waiting. They've really edged me on this running joke. The fucking step ladder debate. So be careful of making assumptions about other cultures, Runo. That's how wars are started. They finally did it. The cultural assumptions. I didn't realize stepladders were an international point of contention, but the writer makes an astute point. Finally. Finally. I've been waiting so long to see if they would do it. We can finally the stepladder debate can pick up again. So which one is it, minions? Is this a ladder or a step ladder? Because apparently they might totally be different things. I say ladders that fold in half like this are ladders. Step ladders are much smaller. They're a different breed. Step ladders are the tiny ones. When you only need a short boost. The ladders that fold in half like this are just ladders. That's what I think. Then again, this one isn't as tall as most folding ladders, so... Like, not as tall, but I still think a stepladder is much shorter. That's what I'm gonna say. It's the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes is his own wax statue in here? Really? Well, he is world famous after all. It's an uncanny resemblance, isn't it? It makes my skin crawl to look at it. I know. But look, Runo, you can kick this Hurley and he doesn't have move a muscle. Oh, do it. Go off. He just vibrates. You can't go around... That's really good. This bit is really good. I like this. You can't go around kicking the exhibits, Iris. Wait. It just moved, I'm sure. And not just a little bit either. Really? Did it? He's blinking. Look at him. And look closely. There are beads of sweat on the face of this waxwork model. Shall we move on, Iris? Over there, look. There's a great murder scene to enjoy. Much more appealing. My dear fellow, I take exception to your recoiling in such a manner, as if you've somehow seen something truly abhorrent. Mr. Sholmes! I knew it. Iris, what possessed you? I strictly forbade you from divulging my temporary waxwork secret to Mr. Naruhodo. Temporary waxwork? What do you mean? And the kick! Could you not exercise a little more restraint? You winded me. But Bruno has something he needs to ask you. Oh, she knew all along. That's really funny. Ah, a question. And I thought you'd probably be getting bored, too. So here we are. Well, I can't deny that your timing was impeccable. A mere 2 minutes more being stationary like that, and my great brain, upon which all my success has been built, would have turned to wax. Is this a side gig? Like, he gets paid to pretend to be a wax statue? Oh, no. Oh, Sholmes. Thank goodness we arrived in time. Indeed, in many ways, the pair of you just saved the world from an unimaginable loss. Oh, Hurley, you do like to talk nonsense, don't you? He could know something, it's true, about Lord Von Zeeks and what happened in the past to change him. Now that you're here, let's take our time. How can I be of assistance? For you're in luck. I'm suddenly quite taken with the idea of conversing. Oh, well, actually, I'm in quite a hurry. And if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe something is afoot within the walls of this very museum. A most fascinating case, if I'm not mistaken. Really? Moreover, I have a strong suspicion that it is related to the matter about which you've come to me now. But how could it be? We shall speak again presently, my dear fellow, but for now I must return to my work. What, back to being a temporary waxwork exhibit? I guess we'll talk to him first. What is this place? God damn it. Alright, fine. Madame Tuspel comes to London from France 3 years ago, I understand. Since she opened this little waxwork museum last year, it's enjoyed great popularity in London. There are museums like this in Japan, too. These displays are something else. I mean, they aren't made from actually real people, are they? The extreme realism of these waxwork models is a particular secret of the Tuspel's family, they say. They are renowned during the French Revolution for waxworks of victims of the guillotine. Based. Ah, that sounds grim. The gruesome secrets were portrayed with such realism in the expressions of the faces of the condemned. Apparently, sculptors would make the models directly from the corpses, right there at the site of the executions. That really turns my stomach. That is pretty gruesome, but I kind of support it. That's artistry right there. That's just one of several legends about the Tuspel's family. Whether there's any truth to it, I couldn't say. But anyway, this museum houses models of famous people from all over the globe. Nevertheless, the most popular area of the museum by some quiet margin is this House of Horrors. House of Horrors? Of course, visitor numbers are dwindling now as a result of the Great Exhibition. But people usually flock here to see the exhibits of some of London's most vile criminals at their gruesome work. Naturally, most of the miscreants portrayed here were sent to the gallows. So they're even stiffer now than models of them. Have you heard of poor taste? My dear fellow, the public live for poor taste. They yearn for the shocked. So, the hideous exhibits in here are... They're all portrayals of real events that actually took place. Is it just me, or did the temperature in here just seem to drop? Anyway, I advise you not to think too deeply about what you see here. Oh, he's back to being a waxwork, is he? What do you mean by a temporary waxwork, Mr. Sholmes? Exactly what do you see? And part of the exhibits here, catching these criminals in the act. Catching them? Every half hour, I home in on a different killer in one of the displays and adopt a new pose to ensnare him. When members of the public come for a closer look, I offer them my hand to shake. For $1, I'll happily allow them to take a photograph with us. Us? Does he mean him and the waxwork murderers in here? Is this just his side gig? But why, Mr. Sholmes? My dear fellow, isn't it obvious? For the money! He really roared at me there. Very fitting for the House of Horrors. As it stands, I may struggle to pay this month's rent. I have the ravenous iris to consider. Oh, Hurley, I'm so hungry. If push comes to shove, I shall have to ask you to do your bit, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, he's on that grind set. He's gotta feed his weird daughter. What's he threatening to rope me into now? So, with that in mind, how about a photograph? It's a special treat. You may have your pick of the murderers and scoundrels in here. The choice is yours. Maybe some other time. Huh. Remember, Mr. Naruhodo, ignore me at your peril. Back to being a waxwork again. Is it just me, or did his final remark there sound a lot like a curse? He's threatening him. Well, what is it you'd like to ask me then? Actually, it's about Lord Von Zeeks. Ah, friend Mr. Reaper. How'd you find him? Well, I trust. Let us fade out as I recount the tale to you. And so I filled Mr. Sholmes in about everything I'd learned. About Lord Von Zieks, about Professor Harebrain, and about the strange coincidence that they had been at university together. So I'm wondering what it was that happened to make Lord Von Zieks such a different person. I was sure that you'd know, Hurley. I'm not allowed to tell you. You said there was something going on here in this exhibit hall before, that something was afoot. Now you believed it was related to what I wanted to ask you about. Mr. Sholmes, he suddenly clammed up. Well, it seems we've reached the unavoidable... Greetings. Oh, this must be Tuspel? Oh, hello. Where did she appear from? And what's she wearing? Could she look any more mysterious? Oh, hi! Hi, hello. I hope you are appreciating my museum. Sorry, have we... Mr. Sholmes, do you know this? Not again. My apologies. I am Esmeralda Tuspels. This is my museum of waxwork. I almost said Maxwork. What? You're the Madame Tuspels? Bien sûr. They're only 26 years young, I might add. Is that significant somehow? I'm a madam in name only. It adds a certain je ne sais quoi. Right. Firstly, I must apologize for my waxworks, or rather, one waxwork in particular. That'll be Mr. Sholmes, then. I was led to believe he was a great detective, but he seems unable to settle. This lady's great, actually. I like her. Next time you move from your designated exhibit, there will be toil and trouble. She sounds deadly serious. That's a problem. How am I supposed to ask Mr. Sholmes about Lord Von Zieks now? Almost like she appeared at the exact convenient moment she needed to interrupt that line of questioning. Let's not forget what Hurley said before, about something being afoot. Right here in the museum, I mean. Yes, I know, but... I'm so curious, I want to know what's happening here. Haven't we got enough on our plate already? Alright, hey, check this out. What do you think of this? Madam, there's something I'd like to show you. Yes, what is that? I remarked on it to myself immediately, and I've been very curious since. Ah, well, it's actually the mark of a defense lawyer in the Empire of Japan. Oh, quel dommage. Not quite as interesting as I'd hoped. What exactly were you expecting from an armband? Ah, lame. Alright, let's talk to her, I suppose. Tell me about your waxwork. Did you make all these waxworks, Madame Tuspels? I did. I am the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. Gosh! It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. Her fortunes were checkered, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution as she did. So that is when she acquired the savoir-faire that leads to astonishing lifelikeness. All these waxworks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. What you see is exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All the waxworks were created in the presence of the real people on which they are modeled. In the hours immediately following their executions, that is the secret to the extraordinary lifelikeness. That sounds terrifying. All walks of life have similar challenges, I'm sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go to extraordinary lengths. I guess Ryunosuke would know about that part. My exhibitions are a reflection of society. I recreate only that which the public wishes to see. Why couldn't the public have wished for something less horrifying? Do not fear. Sorry. This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you'll explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians. Something for every taste, I hope. If Iris was... It was Iris who dragged me straight in here, come to think of it. Sorry. Perhaps I should have eased you into things. Only one of the rooms is spooky, I promise. What's the situation with that? Ah, my temporary waxwork model? He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal. Oh, what sort of proposal? My dear madam, what these sparse exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective. Or what's to that effect? Naturally, I am well aware that Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective. It's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it. Yes, the creme de la creme. So I was keen to come to some arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we were unable to agree terms. Let me guess, someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services? For a mere £500, I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment. Sure, buddy. Oh, words to that effect. Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch. Regrettably, oh no, this pose is good. Ooh. It's a good pose. She's pretty, minions. Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment due to unforeseen circumstances. So we came to the current arrangement instead. Surely he doesn't really need to do what he's doing, though, does he? I would think not, but he was very insistent. I have a 50 shilling problem. That must be resolved by the morning. Oh, words to that effect. It's the pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem. Is the consulting detective work not going so well? Tell us about what is afoot. I wonder, could I ask you something? Bien sûr. I'm just curious, is anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps? Ooh, spooky. Whoever suggested such a thing to you? Oh, well, it was, He is skedaddled. Your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned it to me a little. Oh, he's disappeared. A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade. Ah. There you are. Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working? Do you wish to be melted down? She's so good. I like her immediately. I love women that threaten to pour burning hot oil on people. My dear Madam Tuspel, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem that we must throw into the melting pot instead. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police. Why ever not? She's turned as white as a sheet. Because you have at your disposal a great detective whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Now please be aware that I prefer... No, I insist upon payment in advance. He's very industrious, is Sholmes. Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we? Before I engage my analytical processes, I must ask you to clarify something. What, pray, is behind the curtain? That is the Tuspel special exhibit. There is an extra charge to see it. Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. It must have picked a special killer then, I presume. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder? Ah, absolute none. There's nothing amiss behind there. Nothing amiss, madam. But what's with the funny arm? What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? Ah! I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond before the situation worsens. Yes, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only a soupçon. I think that's how you pronounce that weird C with the weird accent mark. Ooh. Spooky. I must confess, I peeked behind the curtain earlier. The Tuspel special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard scene indeed. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. Or to strike one, however. Oh. Is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor? What's with this guy? Well then perhaps, Mr. Sholmes, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself. I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman. Not even a waxwork, in fact. What? As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are always distinguishable from real humans. He does look familiar. I thought he was the grandpa who was always on the jury at first, but he's not. The grandpa has a big, Santa beard. So, allow me to present my two conclusions. The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taking place in this special exhibit. Why would you say that? And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime. Ah! She looked as pale as a candle wax. I don't understand. So, Madam Tuspels, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Oh, is it time? Yeah, let's do it. I love these. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Waxworks Fate. I love these. These are so fun. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so heavily from your bag. Oh, that is money. In my estimations, £200. That is all my own money. So what does this large sum of money reveal? Ah, not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madam Tuspels. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the £200 is revealed by the public notice. What is he talking about now? Waxworks for sale? Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer the centerpiece of your special exhibit for the sum of £200. None. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on your floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Ah! Unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the £200. It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most effectively. What are you suggesting? He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for the sum of £200. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extortionate amount he was paying. the money was no longer in his hands. Spion. And the result? The scene we see before us. He collapsed in shock. That seems unlikely, but okay. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit fetched a killer piece. Price. Ha ha ha. We can only pray that the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret. Conclusion? Sold for cash. Topic 2. Waxwork location. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider the problem for a moment. You cannot possibly. What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief, such as is worn by policemen as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Oh, no, I don't think we use neckerchiefs for that kind of sign. That's for something else, my friend. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman currently investigating this museum. I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay. What are you talking about? The man's quite a celebrity. He received triple accolades at last year's policing awards. But next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with this particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching him closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle, almost, in fact, as if he were a waxwork. Ah, but you... Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madam. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe! The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is waxwork is the obvious price tag. Wait, what? Threepence? A tragically low price, you might say. Though perhaps the going rate for aging waxworks riddled with cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant £200. The sort of plucky behavior that should attract the attention of Scotland Yard, isn't that so, madam? I do not... Oh boy, we're deep into the bullshit in this one. Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must be reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. Conclusion? Discovered already. This is, oh boy, we're deep in the, none of what you said made any sense. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. Alright, I gotta fix it for him. Throw the wax! I see I've stunned you all into silence. You have, Hurley, you have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot. If I could just bring up one point, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the notorious Naruhodo, 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow. There's just, one more thing. According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So, that would mean that he's the particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman, Automol. Sorry? It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. We can fix him? No, but I can fix his arguments. I don't think Sholmes himself is fixable, sorry. The police rushed to the scene every time, only to find the culprit had disappeared into the ether. And it turned out the culprit was a policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Ottermole. So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there is supposed to be? Indeed, it is a particularly grim fate, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact. Yes, I remember that odious countenance only too well. Exactly, we don't need to fix Sholmes because whatever is wrong with him is way funnier. But is £200 a lot of money for a wax model? It would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages if that puts things in perspective. So It is quite a lot then. Is there anything else you wish to add? Before I melt you down. That bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous. The smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me. Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so... I think I might have to call on your assistance here, Iris, if that's alright. To make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions. Of course it's alright. We'll soon set things straight. So I guess without Susato, Iris kind of fills in as our judicial assistant. I'm realizing that's what's happening here. I wonder if she'll join us in the courtroom. Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame Tuspels vents her anger. Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame Tuspels, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Again. Magane mode. So be it. Haha. Ho 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 ho. Don't I look so nice in these glasses? To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. I'm not going to read everything I said again. The banknotes, yes. That does seem important. Spying. No, this is the part that's not right. She definitely looked in this direction, it's true. But I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks even for 200 pounds. Oh? She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything. For that much money, I would, but it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway, I wonder if the 200 pounds could have some other significance. Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it. Okay. Can I examine? Okay, there's another thing that says 200. What's that note doing pinned on the wall there? Oh yes, let's see. Dear Madame Tuspels, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for this safe return is 200 pounds. Oh, this must be it then. Have the money ready by noon on 23rd October. What? This is... It's just like some sort of thing that's left behind when someone is kidnapped. So somebody stole her wax statue and wants... And is, the ransom is 200. That's what she's paying it for. Yes, it's a ransom note. Exactly. Well, this must be it.
Take that!
For sure. Spraying. The significance of the 200 pounds note is revealed by that ransom note. Quite so, and we must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness abducting a waxwork. Aha! 200 pounds is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it. The model in question has special importance, so I put together all the money I have. In summary then, the 200 pounds you have in your handbag is ransom money. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? Okay, this guy must be a waxwork. I'm convinced this guy is actually a wax model. Or maybe he isn't, I don't know. So if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is? We could just ask him when he comes around. I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris. Yes, you're right. Hurley's trying so hard, we mustn't let him down. She's just like, we have to humor him, I'm sorry. The game can't progress unless we do. Well, there's little doubt that he suffered a shock, that much seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Tuspel's trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. Yes, please, allow me to have a closer look at Madame Tuspel's. What's in her hand? This is just Madame Tuspel's right hand, isn't it? No, it's like clearly a different skin shade. Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand after all. Oh, but wait a minute. This is a left hand as well, look. Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please. And it seems very stiff, too. In fact, it's really hard. You mean it's made of wax? Yeah, that must be it. This is it for sure. Yeah, there's nothing weird else that's weird on her. Well, I guess she has long hair, but that's not weird. I have long hair, and it's luxurious and beautiful and great. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand. Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow. How could you? The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. It ought to be a right hand, but closer inspection reveals that, in fact, it's a left hand. Ah! And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madam. It is the right hand of a waxwork model. Yeah. Oh, we can see both of her eyes now. She just had the whole arm up there. Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage. So you mean that arm? Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try to remove it as a souvenir. No small keepsake. Like taking a whole branch of a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms. I'm afraid I had to teach the man a lesson. You confronted the man and tried to take the arm back. And the result? Sorry, I was a little stuck in French. The scene we see before us. He was knocked unconscious. I'm having to juggle a couple accents here. A point we may need to revisit later, but for the time being, we have our conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped. Kidnapped. Solved. Alright, now we gotta fix this other part. This is where he really goes off track. This is where he goes full sicko mode. I like how the music intensifies for part 2, by the way. I feel pretty confident both of these guys are wax. According to Mr. Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is a sign to other policemen that some crime is underway. A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity, yes. It's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard. That Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away. Well, uncovering secrets isn't any true detective's nature, of course. Right. Anyway, judging from Madame Tuspel's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man quite correctly. Well, let's see who we can find out who he is really. Oh, that's the arm she used, that's the one the guy was trying to steal. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his shoulder stub. No such boneless human walks this earth, of that I can assure you. I prefer my humans boneful. In other words, the man standing here, the young Sergeant John Clay. He is, in fact, defying all odds, a waxwork model. I seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes. I actually really like these poses they're doing. It's great. They look cool. I wanted to take a screenshot of it because they look cool. There we go. the fucking boys. They're stanced up. They're investigating. Go away. I love that. He just, like, closes the spotlight on Mianoski. He doesn't even say anything. He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. I simply had to make a model of the man. Naturally. What other explanation could there be? And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Next, we turn our attention to the old man, sat before him with a particularly unsightly visage. I think this guy is also a wax statue. Or maybe he's not. A killer policeman called Ottermole, was it? Was he well known? It was all over the papers last year, and I can't say I know what he looks like. It's a very low price, though. Threepence isn't much money. Only enough for a few measly hours of gas in Mr. Garridoff's delightful lodgings, in fact. I think that's the price tag for the scarf he's wearing. So this is a special killer taken from the special exhibit, is it? A waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for 200 pounds. Is this crusty old killer policeman Ottermole? Really? Perhaps we should have a good look around again if another idea crops up. Oh. He is a real guy.
Take that!
The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious twitch. Even the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit a twitch. In other words, this splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of a Scotland Yard. Slight shift in your choice of adjectives, then. Stop talking, and there you have it. Well, Madam Tuspels? Well, what? It was me who contacted the police and demanded that someone come in the first place. He is clearly fatigued. Oh, sorry, that was Tuspels. He is clearly fatigued. He is sound asleep. But then, what's this tag about showing a price of 3 pence? No doubt the price tag of the muffler, which the old Bobby purchased recently at a local market. And I presume you've observed the scarf tied around his arm? Does that not strike you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the secret sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is currently underway. Of course, because, as you know, there has been just such criminal activity happening here. As you deduced from the very beginning, Detective. So, it would seem that we finally arrive at the truth. Yeah, do it. Spam! The waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. Dudes rock. And Scotland Yard are already investigating. But the model's whereabouts remain a mystery. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes's great deduction of the wax statue. Still a mystery. Solved. Deduction complete. Elementary. We did it. The dudes who rock. All sorts of people visit my museum here. Men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in just for a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. Anyway. Oh, that's cute. She has a very elaborate animation. I'm sure this is just a one-time character, though. Your great deduction was even more enchanting than I had been led to believe. It was a pleasure, my dear madam. I'm gratified that you enjoyed the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I've no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display, if it was indeed genuinely adopted. Yes, tragically, it was. Then I would ask you to recount us the events surrounding the stolen waxwork, in as much detail as possible, if you please. Very well. But after I have told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work. The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish. Alright, let's ask her about the stolen statue. I have no idea what this has to do with the case, but I'm sure we'll get around to it. Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please. It was some days ago now when I came home in here one morning. I immediately noticed that the waxwork was missing from the special exhibit there. It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place. The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then. So this waxwork that was stolen, it was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose. Yeah, who was it a model of? Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. The killer who left a more profound scar on society than any other, I would say. The Professor. Not a name I've heard of. Oh. Oh. Of course. What other professor would it be? Professor, it starts with an M-O-R? So, Mr. Naruhodo, it seems the circle is complete. Sorry? The professor case happened around the time I was born, didn't it? Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital. 10 years ago? Yes, at exactly the time that Barak von Zeeks graduated from university, in fact. What? Surely he's not saying. So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life. As you've surmised, it was the professor's case. Who was this professor, then? Yes, tell us about the professor. Certainly not some famous professor in any book about mysteries. It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death. And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. There, of course, he happens to be absent at present on account of the abduction. But I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord Von Zeeks? You must first understand, my dear fellow, why it is that the professor earned such infamy. It was due to the victims he chose, some of Whitehall's finest. Oh, politicians. What do you mean, Hurley? Those murdered by the professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty. It sent shockwaves through the country's administration. Hang on, this murderer might be pretty based, actually. If he's killing British royalty, it can't be all that bad. Members of the... Ah, wait, of course. What Professor Harebrain said. Lord Von Zeeks is from a family with noble blood. Oh, gosh. It was the victim that had led to the professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of... Klunt Von Zeeks. No, I don't believe it. Von Zeeks? I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Barak pursued a career as a prosecutor, and eventually became the Reaper we know today. But what's this saying about Japanese people? I had no idea Lord Von Zeeks had such a tragic past. Well, I mean, he is a prosecutor in an Ace Attorney game. He needs a reason to be all surly and gay. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter, for the time being at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit. I am afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well. Oh, yes, of course. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. I guess that's that. Bum. Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here. Wait, who said that? Oh, okay. It's been too long. It really has. I'm delighted to see you, Barrick. It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places. I can't forgive myself for what happened to Mr. Osmond. I just can't. I still can't believe it could happen. Tomorrow, the court will decide. Yes, I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. Yet it was an accident, a terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it. I must warn you. Oh, I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you? The Sikhs guy is so hot, what the hell? He's pretty attractive. It's a shame about the racism, but maybe we can help him get over that. Yes. Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. You can fix him? We can fix him together, Default Dunkle. We can fix him together. Barrick, are you really... What? Never mind. I know what you have my best interests at heart. My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else. See, he's surprisingly nice here. Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Barrick. Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court. We're finally, after a full game, we're getting Von Zeke's Hidden Depths. They've really built up this guy's mystery over the course of a game. It's not the same as Edgeworth, where you kind of learned his deal at the end of the first game. They've really built him up. So I guess this will lead right into the trial. Yeah, it's like we've been saying, Default Dunkle. Despite his bigotry, Von Zeeks is a loyal prosecutor. But I do think that's where we're going to have to end it tonight. I would like to go into the trial, but unfortunately it is not an option tonight. I am a busy princess. I have much work to do, conquering the world. But rest assured, next week, when we hop into the trial, I will be happy to dig in. Tomorrow, we're not continuing Ace Attorney. Ace Attorney will continue next week. Tomorrow, we're checking out Easlaugh++, which is a indie fighting game I've been interested in checking out for some time, and I've heard a lot of people like it, so let's check it out together. It'll be fun. In the meantime... In the meantime, Golden Kenji is a VTuber I am friends with. He's playing Bayonetta, and Bayonetta is a fantastic game that I love, so we'll go raid him. What shall our raid message be? I don't know off the top of my head. Just spam my emotes or something. That'll be fun. If you're subscribed, spam my emotes. We'll do that. Okay? Okay. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow for A's Laugh++. Good night.